made this shit.
This is always, spare time. In my spare time from work.
This is, and I'm almost pretty sure since we started this podcast, this table comes up at least once.
Yeah, if you put it like where the line goes with the foot, it won't do that. These are really,
I just did?
Yeah, these are really cheap mic stands. Till this thing pays for itself.
That's why I'm sitting over here in the corner.
Yeah,
just to become my designated spot.
Well, you and Cody
took
a fight
that's
for
true.
that spot.
Yeah,
but yeah, this desk is always a topic. It's a good conversation starter, man.
Dude, it's heavy.
It's very heavy. It's made of 2x6s and pallet lumber, so it's very sturdy. The legs are actually bolted on, like 12-inch all the way through.
And it's glued together with the ground up bones of the dead. You pestled and mortared all those bones.
Pestle and mortar,
just damn it.
I see. It's 1843, and pestle and mortar still a term.
Not only do you have the pestle and mortar, but the bowl is like one of those old bronze bowls. So it's like when you get done, it's like ding,
ding. Oh, because you gotta. What was that for? Just get out the demons or something.
Yeah, something like that. That's they ground sage and light it in the house.
Right.
You know, because Puritans rule the world apparently still.
Whatever. Who cares? Anyway, you suck.
Yep. I did the one thing that we're not supposed to talk about.
Yep. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. No politics or no religion. But, I mean, with our guy here today, his band is very political.
That is true.
But it's a good movement because it's fuck all the bad shit.
But I think we're going to also talk more about guitar and how it is frustrating and awesome at the same time, and how there's too many people that choose guitar.
So I would like to do this to my direct front because I'm sitting at an angle.
Okay.
The leader, Mr. Director, Cory Fisher.
Hey.
And then to my immediate right, our special guest today, first time on the podcast, Tommy Robinson of Terminal Nation X Kingdom Under Siege.
God damn it.
Booyah.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, dude, this is exciting. Because what brought this on was we had our friend Hunter over here from Couch Jackets.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, like, we don't practice, and we don't practice. Like, me and Justin we're bad about just only practicing at band practice.
Yeah.
But then we just run through the shit we already know, so we don't get really any better.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. And then something popped in my head, and I was like, dude, Tommy practices, like, you practice so much, you film it, and you do live videos.
Dude, it's a lot of work, man. For real. It's a lot of work.
And you are incredibly talented guitar
you,
player.
Thank you.
So let's get into all that good stuff, because much like drumming, which me and Justin both do you play multiple instruments?
I can, but right now I'm just playing guitar.
You're just dead into the guitar.
Yeah,
like,
I've got some things in the works that I might be drumming for.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if that pans out, but as right now, it's just an idea in the air. So.
Okay. Well, hell yeah, dude.
Cool.
Well, so I think where we started off last time was just like our own personal, like, bands that we play in, that we play guitar. So I play guitar and I sing at the same time in Lame Johnny.
Yeah.
And then Justin plays guitar for our other band, My Hands to War. And we have another guitarist, John, now, Comfort. And then you play guitar, like Justin said, in Terminal Nation. All three radically different styles.
Yeah.
So
yes.
that's going to be fun to go over. Like, my main influence for writing, generally speaking, for myself for that band, is I like to keep it. I have two rules basically. If I can't play it and move around, then I just won't do it. If it's too complicated, I can't overcomplicate it. But also, if I can't sing over it, because man, that's tough. Do you do any of that?
Yeah. Playing guitar and doing vocals at the same time, I've kind of come accustomed to it, but it did take like years of practicing.
Oh, dude.
And when I write stuff, it's like I overthink the shit. Like, I cannot just sit down and write a song. If I'm feeling a groove, then I'll like go on with that groove, but I can't just make a whole song. I can't hammer it all out by myself. I usually come up with one idea, and it'll be like maybe half of a song, and then I'll take it to practice, and then like our drummer Chase and our guitarist Dalton will just be like, okay, this is what needs to happen. Let's do this, do that, and then like maybe a week we'll get a song done, and then we'll forget it.
Dude, yeah. I said last time, I have definitely forgotten more songs than I have ever remembered and played.
A lot of the Lame Johnny stuff is mostly just brought on, unless one of us comes in with like a pretty concrete idea. Like
sorry, a lot of times it's a single thought, a text.
Yeah,
a lot of those songs.
Yeah, like he and I will usually send back ideas. It's just like, hey, I've got an idea. It sounds kind of like this, and I'll like, either of us will mention like a style using like. We'll come up with the chord progression in person,
right.
But like usually like the style and the flow of it. It's just like if you're trying to explain something to somebody, it's like, you go blah, 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 blah. You're not really saying a melodic note per se, and then you like go into practice and you work out the fretting and all that stuff. So I'm going to assume that you write the bulk of TN's material.
I can't really say that, but I will say for the demo that we released, it was me and our bass player Chase who wrote the gist of all of it, and then of course the other Chase wrote drums to it, and it made it all come together. We did that for the demo, and then the Waste EP, and then the Absolute Control CD that we released, I think like last year, the year before. That was more so a group's kind of formation and a deal, because everybody's ideas were just bouncing off each other.
Yeah.
And now this new stuff that we're working on, it's everybody, but it's just everything's flowing so smoothly.
That's
like,
awesome.
Nice.
It's never happened this way before. It's just like
see that's when it finally clicks.
But,
you're like, fuck yeah.
So you guys y'all have been the same amount of members for a while now, right?
Yeah, we've been the same 4. Dalton joined, I think, last year, the year before. We had Ted on guitar, and then Ted went to do other projects, and I think he's in Head Cold. Yeah, he's in Head Cold.
Right. I love Head Cold.
And so we had Dalton come in, and he's been a real big influence on it, because he has kind of an ear for things, and he can make up riffs on the spot.
Yeah,
like he can just do it right there, and I'm just like, okay.
So
cool.
do you more? You have to tinker around.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'll have to think about a key, and then my hands just like, this doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna play it. Like
Really?
my hands will just be the brain of it. If I can't wrap my head around it, I'm not gonna play it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like an asshole kind of deal, but it's just like my head can't wrap around it, then it's probably not gonna happen.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I have that same problem.
Yeah.
I
See,
definitely have.
I would say that I don't.
No, you definitely don't.
I tend to make everything as complicated as possible.
Well,
And then-
you'll seek out the complexities.
Yeah.
Like whereas if I'm doing something and Justin sees it, I'm just struggling with it. Like this actually happened. Sadly,
very recently.
yeah, very recently, I was struggling hard, dude, and I had the last few weeks, have been just whatever, and it kind of came to a head. And I would just put it out there publicly. I mean, this is great. I mean, we're all about honesty around here. Me and Justin, straight up. I asked him. I just blew up for a second, man. Like I lost control of my temper, and you know what this is like, dude. This is a great topic for bands, and this is important for bands to hear. Like this shit happens to everyone, man.
Yeah.
I said, "What the fuck is your problem?" Or what? No, what I said first was, "Okay, why don't you just go home? Because it seems like you just don't want to be here." Because I was the one struggling. Whereas when he said what I said a thing, and then he said a thing, but the way he said it hit me wrong.
Yeah.
And so I just went, okay, well then fucking pack up and go then. And when he got out the
band,
oh dude, and when he got out the door, I was like, I started yelling, "It's my fault," and I apologized, and we settled it right then and there. But it was just like, I got so mad, and I don't take swings at people per se, but I just fucking I hit. We have 2 giant steel doors, and I just smacked that thing, and it was
scared the fuck out of me. That's the first time I've had that sort of energy reflected on me in a really, really long time, because I try to just not. I'm very passive, and I very try to avoid confrontation if possible. And like at that moment, there was no removing myself from that situation. So we just faced each other and we just hashed it out. And it was rough for a second, but we're good.
It was just a lot of miscommunication. Yeah. And we have a rule where we're just supposed to say something.
Yeah.
But in my brain, I was like, he's not saying it, and I know he wants to, but he technically wasn't any of my fucking business. But I let it be. I didn't make it my business. I misunderstood what the problem actually was.
He thought it was him. It wasn't him.
Yeah, that's really what it boiled down to. So then we just made up, and we're right here doing this right now. So it's just like, and that's important, I think, for band dudes in general, man. Like a lot of people that they let that shit it ruins a band and a lot of good bands, man.
And is this like for Lame Johnny, or is this for like My Hands War? Like
this was Johnny.
This was Lame Johnny. Lame Johnny's a little bit more. It's a little bit more me and Justin writing stuff, but like I'm the one that struggles as a musician, not Justin. I mean, he's just ridiculous. So he gets to be the guy that I have to be frustrated with, not at, which was my. That's where I fucked up. I was frustrated at him instead of just being frustrated with him because the song wasn't.
Wait, is it just y'all two, or is there three?
There's three of us.
Yeah, there's a bass player.
Well, he was working, so he just wasn't there by default. Normally, he's there in the room with us.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how that would have worked out, but so we're working on this song, and just things just aren't flowing. And I'm like I said, I play guitar, so like if I can't sing with it, it just gets frustrating. I know I can on this one. I just don't know the phrasing because I don't know. I have to just. I don't know if you're like me, but if once I write something and I have it, I have to do it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like, or I'll just forget.
Yeah. Like those videos that like y'all would see on Instagram or whatever, I usually play that like 40 times before I sit down and record it. And I'll take like another 40 videos. And I'm just like, it's getting to like midnight, and I'm like, fuck it. I'll do it in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to it.
Dude, that's crazy,
Well,
dude.
see, we have a general rule, too. You said it takes y'all about a week to get a song like together because you probably all have practice and...
Yeah,
and then you'll like tighten it up and change stuff.
Yeah, it's about a good week. I mean, we could hammer out a song in a day,
right.
But then we'll do a voice memo, and then we'll talk about it during the week, and then we'll come back later that week or the next week, and we're like, okay, let's try this, let's try that. That's the cool part about having like 5 people instead of just like 2 main ones.
Right.
We can all just bounce off ideas, and we all come from like a different musical background.
Right.
Like, I don't know half the shit that they listen to, but I listen to like completely opposite shit. So it's just like, I'm coming from here, y'all come from there. Let's meet in the middle.
That usually makes the best music, man.
I agree.
Style differences are super important.
Yeah.
Or even knowing how to play a different style. Like I'm a little bit older. I come from a more aggro scene. So a lot of the things I still write to this day are very basic.
Corn with biscuit.
Yeah.
Old Deftones.
It's a different era, man. Oh, yeah, old Deftones for sure.
Honestly, if there was a band in Arkansas that just ripped off Deftones, any album style completely, that would probably be my favorite band locally. I mean, just
if somebody would just get the balls to just rip it off and just be confident about it.
If someone took the combination of Around the Fur, White Pony, and Koi no Yokan, and maybe a little bit like, I was one of those dudes that like I really like gore. The production is bad.
Yeah.
Right.
The songwriting is incredible. But like Koi no Yokan, and then that one song from that unreleased Eros album that they did, it's called Smile or something like that. Like, to me, that's like one of the best Deftones songs ever. And honestly, I like it when Deftones chills it out.
Yeah,
like I like when they're really heavy, but like at the same time, like Diamond Eyes is a real good mix, I think, because it's like it's very swooping and back and forth between like being really chunky and heavy and having this big atmospheric, clean melodic sound.
Mm-hmm. So what's your go-to music, dude? What do you listen to?
If I'm being honest, I haven't listened to music in a while. I usually just listen to podcasts now.
Interesting. I'm the same way, man.
Well, if it's music and it's gonna sound like really bad, I don't even listen to like instruments anymore. I just listen to vocals.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been on this like Whitechapel kick for some odd reason, and it's just his vocals. Just like I love it. So I'll probably be kicking on there for a while. Then I'll go to like maybe like Life of Agony or something because Stan just got me hooked on them.
Yeah.
I don't really like the vocals, but the music is hard as fuck, dude.
And Life of Agony's been around for a while.
Well, you said Whitechapel too, man. I mean, they're both. That's.
Well, I mean, Life of Agony has had, I think, a longer career, but then they took some time off because Keith became he got surgery.
Transgender.
Yeah, he's transgender. Mina Caputo, is that his name now? Her name now, I think. But yeah, I mean, they changed, like she changed completely, and like as far as I know, it doesn't like change the music at all, right? Like the style's pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty
it's
much.
just
the
instead of male sounding vocals, it's more female sounding.
Yeah, of course.
Which is dope. It's the same thing with Against Me.
Yeah. That's who I was thinking of when as soon as you said, I was like, oh, so like Against Me, the same thing.
I actually think Against Me got better once.
I haven't really heard them, dude, since. I don't know why. I just never. They don't pop up in my feeds or nothing.
Yeah,
like
Against Me was never a band that like popped on my radar.
Yeah.
But once Laura Jane came out as transgender and had her transition surgery and all that stuff, like it I don't know, it just felt like it made more sense. I don't know if that's I don't want that to sound ignorant, because I don't think it is, but like if it is, I apologize on this podcast. But yeah, Life of Agony was never a band I super got into, but I respect the influence and the mark they made, especially on like, because they're like New York hardcore, right?
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm just ever sitting down at work, if I'm not listening to a podcast and I just need to listen to music, like just get me through a 10-hour day, I'll go straight to Gate Creeper, their Sonar Deprivation album. Oh my God, it's crazy.
I have to look it up.
It's crazy.
They sound violent.
That's
is it doomy?
It's I think it's more so like death metal-y.
Wait, was Gate Creeper one of the bands that was at the Mutants Festival?
Yeah. They played it on the same day.
I saw a lot of Instagram story videos of Gate Creeper playing, and they were great. I'm not a super death metal or a doomy guy, but
they're a big influence for this upcoming record.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very big influence.
Where do you guys tuned in? Weren't you guys originally like in standard?
Yeah, we went from standard to D standard.
Right.
Now we're in C standard.
Wow.
And after playing this style of music for, I think we've been together since 2014, I'm still more comfortable with the drop tuning.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, dude.
I love it.
Just I don't know, my hands just still can't get adjusted, but I still play it because it's fun.
Yeah.
So
y'all are still in C standard right now?
Yeah, C
standard.
So
I noticed that Stan had posted a screenshot of an email of I think of a demo of the new stuff you guys are working on. Is that are y'all still in C standard then?
Yeah.
Is this going to be another LP or?
Well, I want to say we're gonna do a full length, but it's still like up in the air. We've got enough songs for a full length, but it's depending on how many songs make the cut, because this time around we're wanting to do everything like legit, like really good, like have it sound full. The last record, it didn't sound as full. We recorded, I think, 14 songs in 2 days with Wolfman Studios.
Damn.
But we never really got it mastered or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this time around, we already got like 5 or 6 songs recorded with Mark Colbert at
awesome.
Capitol View.
Yep. Fuck yeah.
And so he's been mixing, and dude, the shit's sounding full and just very, very heavy, dude. I'm very happy with the product so far.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
dude. I'm excited to hear it.
I met Mark for the first time when we did the comeback show for My Hands to War. He ran sound at Rev Room. Nice fucking guy, dude.
Oh, he's one of the.
And he made us sound incredible.
Yeah, he's fucking one of the best around. We're lucky we have him.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was, and then like Cory was telling me a little bit about him like hours before we started playing. He was like, "Yeah, he's done this, and this," and I was like, "Oh shit."
Hey, he's a real deal, man.
Yeah,
he's a real fucking deal.
Yeah,
we're lucky.
Mark and Brian Walker.
Oh yeah, 2 of my favorites.
Brian's the shit.
So you guys, dude, and this will be a cool one too, because a lot of people I know do this too. But you guys are fucking heavy. You throw the fuck down. Like, y'all shows are intense.
Very violent.
Does that? Because it definitely for me does. Like, our shows aren't as intense. Like my Hands to War shows probably are.
Yeah.
We're crazy, leaping off shit, doing all those crazy things. But like Lame Johnny isn't.
Yeah.
It's just it's more just of like a vocal aggressions than physical aggressions.
I think a good explanation is that Lame Johnny is because we're all centered and we're all up at the front of the stage. We're all 3 right next to each other.
Yeah, none of us. We don't do the staggered staging. Everybody plays. It's a linear staging. So the drummer,
tight.
He's actually the front man.
Yeah.
So
I'm usually actually angled out.
But you're dead center.
One
and
direction.
I'm stage right and Cody's stage left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's super close. I feel like the violence or aggression is focused inward between the 3 of us.
Yeah, it's more like a ball.
Yeah, it's just this constantly like slowly growing build up. Whereas My Hands to War is an outward explosion.
That's what Terminal Nation 2 is, definitely like explosive band.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and we've never had My Hands to War's never really had like pits or hardcore dancers, because most of the music's a little bit more like technical and complex, and you can't really move to it like the way that I can, especially when like in my head, my movement for the song is more like where I'm gonna bob my head if it's like a 7 or a 5, whereas y'all shit, regardless of what time signature or tempo you're playing at, people are going fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's bananas. So what I was getting to is when you're writing and you guys are playing and practicing, I don't know if y'all do this too, but we actually kind of think about the future of the song and how we'll play it live and like how it comes out live and how it's the movement of the song basically. Does it change the song sometimes where like you're like, guys, if this song is like this and I know live it's going to be like this, like there's just no fucking way I'm going to be able to do this correctly.
There have been times where we made a song and like Stan or Chase would be like, there's something missing at the end or the middle, we need something. Then they'll like mouth something off like a rhythm or something, and then we'll just like watch them and be like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? So they'll give us like a pattern or just like idea or like show us like something to try and like have us look into their brain or whatever, and then we'll be like, okay, we'll try it, and then like our drummer will be like, fuck it, let's do it. So we'll fucking play it, and then it'll be like a day or two before we get the actual frets and all that, but the rhythm will be there, and then we're like, okay, that works.
Yeah.
Like for the I want to say for the Absolute Control thing that we released a couple years ago, a lot of those songs I didn't think were really going to make sense, like the ending breakdowns or the parts, until everything was together, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
totally.
after we recorded and sat back, and I was like, oh damn, this does go hard. Damn.
Dude, I've always said you don't actually know a song till you hear it.
Yeah.
And you really don't. Like there's Lame Johnny is finishing up our very first album, and it's been like 4 years and we're finally making an album. But literally that happened, dude. Like we got in there, we started going, we did all the drum tracks, and I came back and laid a guitar. And when the guitars were done and the bass was done, I started hearing them back. I was getting some cuts from DJ, the guy that's doing the record, and I was like, man, these other songs, these softer songs because we used to sound completely different.
Yeah.
And then we lost a bunch of members and we changed our sound, but we kept some of those old songs. And you're sitting there listening to it like, man, this just doesn't fucking work. Like you're hearing it back for the first time, and we've been playing them live since we changed our style, and now we don't even play them live now.
Yeah.
So like, I get it, man. You just don't know until you listen back to yourself, and it really just like even a video doesn't do it justice.
I mean, also too, like when we're working on songs and like Stan will be doing his vocals, but we can't really hear him because like, you know, his PA is not like loud enough to push through like the drums and everything. So at the studio, I'm just like, damn, that really makes everything come together. It might sound stupid when coming out, but in my head, it kind of, you know, it makes sense because it's like, oh, the fucking vocals tie everything together.
Yeah, well, I mean, plus Stan has a super unique vocal style.
Dude, it's
Super
fucking
unique.
crazy, man.
His voice, there's a very few people, him, Joe for Advent, and a couple of other dudes that play in like that stomp. I call it stomp core because it just literally makes you want to kick shit.
Yeah.
And like I get the dancing thing. I get it. It's not my thing, but I get it because when I hear it, I'm like, is there a cinder block nearby I can just destroy with my foot real quick? Because goddamn. But no, his voice has this, and Justin hears me say this all the fucking time. But his voice rips. There is like this almost fabric-esque, like he's trying to tear a fucking hole in the space-time continuum with his throat, and it's just like, dude, it's so, I don't even know how to describe it. Like that's the best I have to describe his vocal
the
style.
very first time I saw you guys, it was at MF Metal, and I was just like, and I knew Stan had used to be in Jungle Juice.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like this barking style vocal. Like the music's dope as fuck, but like the vocals, I just couldn't get into it, and it just took me so long. And then once y'all put out Absolute Control, I was like, okay, I get it. Like it, like finally, like it ties in the way that it should. But yeah, like I mean, having a unique vocal style, I think sets you apart from everybody. And I think Stan's at one of the top, and especially in Arkansas.
You're talking
for
about
sure.
for uniqueness?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when, because him and Chase Turner started Terminal Nation, and then they asked the other Chase to play drums and then me to play guitar. I was like, okay, what song are we playing? They're like, oh, we're gonna sound like we're shooting for Spine and a band called Infest. And me, I'm just like never really heard these bands, so I check them out. I'm like, oh, that's fast as shit. I'm down, cool, whatever. So we're working on the demo and everything. Stan comes over to check out the music and put in his input, and then we're demoing some songs, and he puts his vocals over there, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, I've never heard this style before. Like, what the fuck?
That's the thing.
That's literally how I took it the first time too.
I mean, like, yeah, and that's no slight to Stan. It's just like I'm just so not used to hearing that style of vocals.
It wasn't around here.
Exactly.
I don't know if he might be the first fucking guy that did that around here.
I think he might be.
To my knowledge, he is.
I mean, I've been around
since the early 2000s, late 90s.
I've been around in the scene since it's for over 20 years.
Jesus
so
Christ.
I've seen a lot of bands come and go, dude. Yeah, I'm the old guy. But I mean, I definitely aside from maybe like one other person that tried to be like just this hyper unique vocalist and had like his own thing going, because I'm definitely like an amalgamation. My vocals are just a bunch of different things that I've done over the years that I just kind of compiled.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of the first people that you come out and you watch him and you're like, not only his live show aside, just his actual style. And I've gotten to watch him craft it over the years too, because I remember when he first started coming around and all that stuff. So it's just like you get to see people grow, and like now, dude, he's just like, fuck, man. The way he sounds now is just, it's fucking crazy.
And plus, he's just going batshit the whole time.
The whole time. And I don't know, his stamina is fucking unreal.
I mean, for those who don't even like really mess with the style of music or the vocals, if they want to, bash it, that's cool, whatever. But I think we're one of those bands that you definitely need to see rather than listen, because the past demos, the past releases, we know haven't really done us justice, because we were kind of, at the time we were like, okay, we want to write this many songs. We already have a studio date here. Let's write this many songs, record them, put them out, instead of like work on them, record them, make sure everything's pitch perfect, and then master them.
I think you guys too, much like My Hands to War, man, you guys are like, and not to put us all up on a pedestal or anything, but you guys are one of those bands where we say the same thing too. When I tell people, like, it's not something you listen to, it's something you watch. We're a show. Think of us more like a movie or a TV show rather than a band, because then it makes sense. And like, essentially, you guys are lightning in a bottle. And capturing that is insanely fucking hard. We have the same issues. We've never put out a record that we're 100% okay with, ever. Yeah. And I know that's a lot of bands, even that aren't as crazy as like our two bands.
Yeah.
But there is something to capturing the energy. And I think a lot of that, dude, I mean, not to sound like bougie or whatever, but I think a lot of that is the studio. Are you jiving well? And are you playing? I mean, like this Slam Johnny record, dude, I'm in the closet doing vocals, the vocal booth, if you will, and I'm moving around. I have a guitar, like blankly, like I actually have a guitar on me to like mimic all those things to try to get that energy to transfer through the microphone and into your ears. So like in that booth, it's pitch black, and I'm 100% going fucking ham in there, just trying to just grill. And a lot of the guitar parts I stood up for, and I just had the headphones on and I'm playing in front of my amp loud as shit, I feel like y'all probably have a lot of the same issues with recording that we do, where you're trying all these things just to get it to convey.
Yeah. The first time when we went to Wolfman for the demo, I've only been to a couple studios beforehand, like at that level, like professional studios, if you will. So I kind of didn't really have an idea as to what I was getting into. So the records up until this one were all live recordings. And so I just play the guitar, hope I don't fuck up too bad. Right. Then after the band's done, go back and record the second guitar. This one, luckily we have another guitar player that can deal with that shit, 'cause I'm done dealing with that shit.
Yeah, that's good.
So-
That's going to be nice for this upcoming Minus the War record.
We finally, I don't know if you noticed, but we actually just finally got ourselves a second guitar
Yeah,
player.
I heard. Wasn't he from that other band?
Eyes Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't they
Yeah.
formerly known as something else?
Rats at a Bar, Grabbing a Star.
Yep.
Rab Gas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, John's the shit.
And that other band, dude, his other band, Eyes Up, all those guys. Just want to take a second to shout out to those guys because listen to Eyes Up. I mean, we didn't poach the guy or anything, but we just had this. We have this rule that in our band, if it doesn't jive, it doesn't jive, and then we don't fuck with it. So it took it. You know, we went through those hardships last year, losing our guitar player Dustin.
Oh, he knows Dustin.
No, I know, but I'm just saying for the people who might not know what happened. We lost unfortunately we lost one of our buddies and one of our bandmates, and it just took a while, man. And we were going to these at then it was Rab Gas shows, and we're watching them. This is great for guitar because, you know, My Hands to War, much like Terminal Nation, it's a vibe.
Yeah.
We're vibey bands, and I'm watching him play, and I'm like, dude, I think that's the fucking dude right there, man. And I go and get Justin. This was like the second time we'd ever seen him. I go and I get Justin, and I'm like, hey, man, come, you got to come over here. And we're sitting there watching him, and we're bobbing our heads, and I leaned up into Justin's ear, and I was like, hey, man, I think that's the dude. He was like, are you sure? And I was like, I don't know yet, right? So then we played like 3 or 4 more shows with him, and then on the 5th show we played with him, which was in like Jacksonville, this place called the Elixir. I don't know.
Never been there.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a wild night. It was fun. I had a good time, but it was a weird place. I just went up to him and was like, hey man, not to poach, not to do anything, like say no please, and I don't want to cause any conflict between us and your guys, but would you be down with joining My Hands to War and being second guitar player? And he was like, absolutely. It was like, and then we asked him, the podcast that comes out Wednesday, he actually Tuesday, sorry. He actually kind of spoke up about it, and he was like, you know what's weird is when I saw you guys, I actually imagined how would I write the other guitar parts.
Oh, wow.
And then dude comes in and just literally, man, figured out an entire set in 2 practices.
And then the weird shit is he was over here sitting on the couch. He had actually tried. Do you remember when we were around and we had Bryce, our keyboardist, when we still had the electronica stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Me way back right now.
Yeah.
Shit.
So basically everybody in the room, minus a couple of members, it was basically everybody who was in My Hands to War at one point. And Bryce had used to be in a band called Paris in Flames a long ass time ago. John, our new guitarist, had actually tried out for Paris in Flames. Went to one practice, and then like they called him back, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to practice on this day," and he never showed up. So he's technically known through Bryce, the rest of us, for fucking 15 years at this point.
That's funny.
God, y'all are taking me way back right now.
Yeah,
I remember I saw y'all. I saw y'all back at the old Juanita's, not the new one that got whatever. The old one, it was y'all, Strike the Choir.
Underclair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say, because I went with a buddy named Jeremy, and we went there, and we were like maybe 15 or 16. And that was like one of the first shows where I was like, oh, damn, shit can get crazy at a show. Because I was like just starting to get into this kind of music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Watching Strike the Choir was fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude.
And I think, I want to say either y'all's keyboardist or one of y'all guitar player or whatever, jumped off the fucking head of his amp, and the cab almost fell over.
Oh no, that was me.
That was you.
Justin.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember that exact moment.
I ran into the thing because it broke the fucking cable inside.
Sure did.
And we were about to go on tour like a week later,
Yep.
and then Colton brought his shit up on stage and hooked it up, and so we could finish the set. We were actually, Cory and I were talking about this just to each other like not even a week ago.
Yeah, that's funny, dude.
That's fucking awesome that you were at that show. I remember that. Yeah, you and Jeremy, and then what was his name? There was a dude that used to come that was not necessarily, I don't think necessarily part of y'all's crew, but he knew it, like Branson Stockstill.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. He was always with Hunter and hanging out with him, and we would always go to random shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
there were a lot of people from the Star City Monticello area that anytime My Hands to
were.
Well, that anytime that My Hands to War and Strike the Choir played, like they all showed up.
Well, that's because Strike the Choir is unequivocally the best band you've never seen.
Yes,
dude, I think they were like the first band that I saw like at a local show. We had shows in Star City at the Square, and the first show that I went, I want to say it was a New Season, Strike the Choir. I think a band called Judging the Silence played and Fear the Aftermath.
Yeah,
wow,
Micah,
dude.
And when Strike the Choir played, I was like, holy shit, 'cause they had like all these lights, and you know, I was a young kid, so I was like, damn, shit can get real, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Listen to my first show with Strike the Choir was one of their first shows. Back in a band I used to be in called Zero. And I meet this guy, Dustin.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey man, blah blah blah, and like instant buddies, Colton, all those guys, man. They still had their other was it the
Love Is Worth It? That first 6 or 7 song EP?
No, the other guy who left to go be in the military.
Yeah, they still had David.
Yeah, they still had all the original people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was cool, man. My band was aggro. We did not mesh with them, but at all. But even that band that I was in, I went crazy. The rest of the band sort of did. The singer always did, but the drum and the bassist, like we would do a few crazy things, but not like what I do now. But man, watching them, even the first time, which was one of their first shows, it was just like, what in the fuck am I seeing right now? Like they inspired everyone that watched them that was a musician.
Yeah.
Hands down. And I'm older than them. Mm-hmm. And you're watching this band and you're like, oh my God. And that was before the lights, before the everything, man. And
that's before they even had DJ on drums.
Yeah. And they only got better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like their first couple of shows, I'm seeing them and still getting like something from it. And it's like, what in the fuck is happening right now? Like, how are you that good? And then you get even better. And we credit Dustin with making My Hands to War who they are today.
Oh, 100%.
There wouldn't be this sound that we have if it wasn't for him.
I think I saw y'all one time with Dustin at some church up in fucking God knows where. But
was it the museum?
I think so.
With the weird basketball floor in Leslie?
Yeah.
It was the...
You drove to Leslie?
Ironically, it was the suicide prevention show we played. That's what that was.
Yep. I didn't drive. Shit, I wasn't old enough.
That's fair. No, that show was fun as fuck. Right before that show, a couple of days, some shit happened, and I'm not going to speak about it on the podcast, but Dustin and I hated each other for a little bit.
It's true.
And then we were going to trick the rest of the band. Like, he and I had already squashed the beef that we had. We were going to hug it out on stage and be okay, but somebody let it slip. I think it was John. John probably let it slip, but we ended up being okay. And then we played this show at this that gymnasium was tight as shit. We sold all of our merch that night, every single shirt.
John, good night, man.
Yeah, John actually. I remember John got a shirt from a girl because she was wearing a 3/4 sleeve honorary title shirt, and he was like, "I'll trade you a shirt for that." And she was like,
"Did we headline that show?"
Yes.
Because
no, we didn't. Almost Breathing did.
Okay, because I remember in the middle of our set, the guy came out to do that. It's because it was I want to say it was a church function.
Yeah, Love Like Rain. Yeah,
yeah, and it was
Josh
a suicide prevention thing, and the guy came out, and this is all ironic now, but Dustin and Earl came. Well, Dustin stayed out there, and he starts doing this noise, like he starts playing this really beautiful thing under this guy's speech. And you're like, man, that is... And it was just... We were all backstage at this, like, piano.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like, taken back how moving it actually was. And it was hitting hard, man. It was just one of those moments where you're just locked in. And then Earl just gets this hair up his ass, and he walks out there and starts putting a bass line behind what he's doing. And as the guy is speaking, Justin walks out, and he starts doing a little thing. And then I walk out, and I start putting... And then we build literally back into the set in real time. All of that was literally improv.
Yeah.
None of that was talked about. We just fucking did it, and it's still one of the coolest fucking moments of all fucking time in my show ability thing.
Yeah, I remember that actually being one of the only shows, like one of the only true shows where we had a green room that had stuff like ready for us. Like we had like a green room before where people were like, oh, we've got food and drink on the way, like pizza and Cokes and all that stuff. But like that was one of the first times like we walked back and they had sodas, they had chips, they had a veggie tray. We were just like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, like the meat and crackers. But back to guitar. So we were going over influences. Yeah, we like to tangent on this podcast. Yeah. So we got through your influences, which are kind of bands you're listening to right now. Justin, what are your like go-tos?
Definitely Jordan and Andy from Every Time I Die. That's my
100%.
That's been my favorite band for forever. In terms of guitar influences, I kind of listen to like those weirder, obscure bands that are just like have like really cool parts and shit. Like I've brought up 36 Crazy Fist on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Their guitar player Steve on A Snow-Capped Romance has some like just really interesting chord progressions and like just riff selection that I think is just kind of influenced. And that's actually influenced a lot of the My Hands to War stuff. That's kind of crazy. Greg Tribbett from Mudvayne, their old shit, I think is very. I think it's almost kind of expected at this point. If anyone knows me from high school, LD50 and The End of All Things to Come were like two albums that I never stopped listening to. I actually re-listened to those two CDs like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I remember how I felt when I first heard this shit. James Hetfield, in terms of having a fast picking hand.
That right hand.
Yeah, I can't solo for shit. So Kirk Hammett, Jimmy Page, all those kind of like shredders, or even people who do like tasteful stuff.
Or even Tommy here.
Yeah, or even Tommy. Like Tommy's fucking great at guitar.
Dude,
like,
I was watching the one you just did the other day. It was kind of like that bluesy jam.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
It was so good.
Midway
dude.
through, you really hit the stride on that one.
That
I was just like, fuck, man, he's so good.
I think that one was more of a Eric Johnson and dude from Polyphia kind of influence.
Yeah.
Because I've been listening to those two lately. Just,
Which dude from Polyphia? The pretty boy or the one with the big nose?
Boy.
The pretty boy.
Yeah, no. I mean, they're all like a bunch of like handsome dudes playing like super technical. It's like super technical pop rock.
It's just the way they go about it. Like they just make a lot of these sounds I would have never thought of making.
Yeah,
it's just fucking crazy.
And they're so good at their instruments. Their bass player's fucking insane.
Dude, he is crazy.
He's unreal, and he goes ham.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
You're good.
But
that's actually a really good point. And then like some gent bands like Misha from Periphery.
Right.
I just think he has a really good knack for rhythm, which is like he doesn't play a lot of the solos. That's usually left to Mark or Jake.
Yeah.
But Misha writes everything. And then he just kind of brings their shit, or he like takes all their influence and puts it into writing a song. But Misha's like, he has such a command of rhythm. And Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders, and even Javier. But I think one that kind of flies under the radar is Claudio Sanchez from Coheed. That dude can fucking rock a guitar.
He definitely can.
And then, like, I mean, even like the guys who wrote like the emo shit in the early 2000s.
Well, that's my thing, dude. Is I don't like to shit on too many bands. Only if you're shitty and cocky.
Yeah.
But like, dude, even if you're not my jam, like if I'm not jamming you, like, dude, I still give respect where respect is due.
Yeah.
Like Coheed and Cambria, would I ever fucking listen to it on my own? No, it's not my thing. I could care less. But I've seen them play. I've seen them live, and yeah that dude is a fucking beast.
Mm-hmm.
That whole band is a beast. And granted, when I saw him, it wasn't that great, but it was also 118 fucking degrees. It was in the middle of Dallas. It was just, it was just one of those days where just, fuck, man, you're going to have an off day, but you don't sell those records being shitty.
There's a shit ton of records that I've listened to where it just doesn't click with me, but like,
right.
And there's even local bands, like some local bands that I'm not going to say on here. You and I have talked about this in private, that like the talent level is not bad.
Yeah.
It's just like you're to Cory and I being in the music scene so long and writing the style of music we do, when we hear certain local bands play, it's just like you're presenting it at a level lower than your talent shows. Like, like I know that you're better than this. Why write this just to get people to come to your shows and sell albums?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's just fear too, man.
Yeah,
we suffer from some of that.
Yeah, the thing about Arkansas is that like there's so many bands that are so fucking good and deserve all the recognition in the world, and then there's some bands that compromise that.
Right. They
compromise talent for
playability.
Listenability. Yeah.
But I feel like we used to do that shit too, man. Like we used to. Okay, so 10 years ago, this is how my Hands to War writing went. Mm-hmm. Justin would come in and he would have this song. And we would all sit down, listen to the song and go, okay, that's pretty much it. Where's the breakdown?
Yep.
Okay, so because we have to have one of those because that's what's fucking popular, and Bryce is going to write a little ditty over that, and then there will be at the end a little marker of a guitar note like up forward like 12-15 area on the bottom strings to syndicate it's all over with. Very cliche shit. And then finally, I think, dude, it wasn't until probably the last 2 years we were a band the first time around where we started going, the song is the song. And whatever serves a song, that's what serves a song. If it has a breakdown, it has a breakdown. If it doesn't, then
fuck it.
Then we don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys are finally to that point too, where you're just writing and just going yes. And if somebody doesn't like it, you're like, well, fuck it. Then we don't have to have that, and you just write something else.
Right. Well, it's just like you were saying. Like you guys have been a band since 2014, and y'all are now writing stuff where everything congeals together. Like. Yeah, it takes some bands 4 years. Sometimes it takes a band a week. You never know.
Well, it took us
like 6 or 7 years, dude.
Yeah.
It was almost to the point where we were already done when we started writing.
When we were good.
When we were actually good. That's a really good point. Like we'd already been a band 3 years before Dustin joined the first time, and he helped us write 557, and like that's the song that I still think it was the change.
That was the turning point for sure.
Easily. Like, we still had these songs that had electronica, and then Bryce and our other guitarist, Sid, left. Then when we added Dustin and we wrote 557, it's like, oh, we can have...
Yeah, but it took a long time to, like... We had it in our brain, but it took a long time to articulate it.
Well, it was like, but it's just like you were saying earlier. It was because of Dustin. Like, Dustin was like, you guys can write stuff that's like this. And we're like, oh, wow, we really can.
Well, that and even performance, too, man.
Oh, our performance shot way up once Dustin joined.
Yeah.
Just watching Dustin, Todd and I had a conversation by ourselves where he was like, we have to be half as good as them.
Well, he will forever herald my favorite moment on a stage.
Yeah.
Playing the Village. And then we used to have this thing called the Fatality Finale. And if it was going to be a good night on the last song, somebody would just say Fatality, like Mortal Kombat, because we're fucking nerds.
Yeah.
And so that meant destroy everything. On that last note, kill, try to literally break your shit. And okay, so we're playing the song and it comes down and we hit the last note and I literally just push out with my arms and feet and I just kick my drum set over, right? And Dustin, I see Earl grab his bass and pull and just yank all the strings off his bass and Dustin disappears.
Oh shit.
I don't know, he fell off the stage.
There's a video of it somewhere.
There is a video somewhere, and if anybody has it who's listening, I would love to have it. But Justin is pulling shit, and he's dragging his guitar across the stage, I think, and Todd is like dismantling the light show. He's pulling all the lights down and just throwing them across the stage, and this is at the Village. And all of a sudden, from that dark right hallway, all you see is this orange streamlined guitar just go, whoo, ho, 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 boom, and just shit all over the stage. No strings. And all of a sudden, he just comes leaping up off onto the stage. But this is a fucking it's probably 5-foot stage. And he comes leaping up onto the platform and runs and grabs his guitar and just starts dragging it across everything that was on the ground. And I'm just like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah.
Like, we took it way too far. I ended up breaking a floor tom that night.
Dustin's hand, was it Dustin's hand or Earl's hand?
Earl's hand was cut,
like bleeding everywhere.
Dustin's guitar, I still have it. The pick guard, it broke off.
The old airline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
still have it in a box.
Yeah.
Strike the Choir would play at a little place in Whitehall called
The Cabin.
The Cabin.
Yeah,
and it's still like very memorable to me because I know Kurt took a video of it and he had it on YouTube, and I don't know if it's still on there or not. But they're on their last song. I think it's like It's Safe to Say You're a Whore or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And their last song, like this was DJ, Dustin,
and Colton, right? It's just is it just when they were a 3-piece and Dustin was playing bass?
Yeah.
It's still up there.
And at the fucking end, like they just start throwing shit. DJ's still playing his drums, and then Colton and Dustin get up in the ceiling. Dustin's hanging upside down, screaming, and Colton's just dangling his guitar everywhere, beating the shit out of it, and then DJ's still playing, and then fucking Dustin comes out of nowhere because he was dangling, and then he went somewhere, and then he comes out of nowhere. He goes to drums, and I think DJ plays guitar, and then fucking like they do like the last measure of the song. My mind was fucking blown. I was like,
dude.
holy shit.
When they used to end that song and like extend that ending like 2 or 3 minutes before that last "fill your mouth." Ugh. They actually, when DJ and Dustin left Block 2 downtown,
I remember that.
They spray painted that "fill your mouth." It's somewhere still in that apartment building. That's
I'm
fucking
sure it's
crazy.
covered up, but it's there.
That's honestly a great tattoo to get. "Fill your mouth."
Most people might take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm already there, bro.
well, I mean, the name of the song is given what we just did. It's safe to say you're a whore. So
Fair enough. I mean, it's fair enough. It's whatever. So, man, I don't really have a lot of guitar influences. A lot of mine.
Dave
came from-
Grohl, easily.
Well, he's drummer and guitar player.
Yeah.
Ironically, I love me some Dave Grohl, dude. He's my jam. I love the Foo Fighters. I love fucking Nirvana. But I grew up in a different era.
Yeah.
I fucking love. One of mine was Wes Borland, and what solidified him for me, not his band.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if you don't like Limp Bizkit. It's okay. I understand it. I just listen to it because it's from my childhood. They're one of the 2 bands that got me out of listening to gangster rap
Yeah.
because it was like a nice transition. Oh, rock rap. Oh, I didn't know this was a thing. And I watched this video where he's using all of his fingers and none of them are picking, right? So he's the first guitar player I ever saw tap a part out, but he's using everything.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing it all. And then I watched him in that same video, he would use his wedding ring as a slide.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here watching this. I'm sitting here watching things I didn't know were even possible. And I was a budding guitar player. I maybe a couple of months, and a friend of mine who turned me on to these other bands was just like, man, you got to listen to this. You got to watch that. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Just listen to this band, man. I promise you. And I linked onto the guitar player more for that band than anything.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Head from Korn because of his right hand dominance. I'll forever say I think he's the most right hand dominant guitar player on the whole
and
planet.
Wes Borland's left hand.
And Wes Borland, well, that dude's a machine.
Can you imagine splicing Head and Wes Borland together, like through the perfect halves? That would be fucking insane.
They would create the only band that everyone would listen to ever.
Kiss Kid.
It'd be like, I'm okay with this.
Limp corn cob. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I get that people don't like those bands, but I'm from a different time, man, when they were just so fucking big. They were bigger than life itself, and you would watch them on MTV late at night because that's the only time they would air the shit.
Well, I mean, to kind of throw back to the Drummers podcast, you were talking about David Silvera and like Ray Lusk and even John Otto. Like, it's basically they're hip hop drummers in a rock band.
Well, right, but these guitar players, man, they were just doing things that I mean, granted, I was new, so like I didn't know who the fuck. I knew who James Hetfield was, but I didn't watch him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I didn't like sit there and study him. I just like you see a Metallica music video back in the day, and that's all it was to me.
All you saw was right hand just going.
Well, because I wasn't a musician yet, it didn't click. So that's why he's not one of my influences. And later on, I think I'm not that great of a guitar player. I'm not strong guitar player. I'm not a technical guitar player. I'm a rhythm guitarist.
Yeah.
If you had to classify it, I'm rhythm all the way. But being the lead guitar player in a band, I have to take rhythm and make it lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I have to get creative with the way I do things. And to me, that's why I'm just 100% like on my right hand, because the guys I grew up watching were right-hand dominant guitar players, and it just stuck, man. And I really haven't changed. I was telling him before, like, I was getting to where I could kind of sweep, like I could go down, but I couldn't go back up. Like I could make it down real quick, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and I got to there, and then all of a sudden, as the age-old adage goes, there's no fucking drummers. But I wanted to be in a band, so guess what I started doing? And then I just abandoned guitar for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 7. And then I picked it back up, and I've kind of been the same, but like, I think our last podcast, did you listen to it with Hunter?
Yeah.
I was talking about how I don't practice, and Justin was like, man, we really should. Could you imagine? I think, and that's what made me think of you. I was like, dude, Tommy practices all the time. He's a fucking bad motherfucker on a guitar, dude. I actually do watch if I see them, I watch them. I love your videos.
Appreciate it.
I think it's cool. that you're doing that and you're showing people not only like your skill level and like we get to watch you grow in real time, but also, which is kind of the beauty of the internet, but also you're showing people what it takes.
Yeah.
It's like inspiring to see a guy like you want to struggle through a part. I'll see you like stop and then hit that same part until you hit it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool, man. That's fucking awesome. You're showing like these new guys or these up and coming guitar players, like, yeah, even as good as I am, I still fucking miss a note, and I still have to like keep going.
Yeah.
You know, you show that drive and determination, which I think my next year's resolution, like this year, I quit smoking. I changed the way I eat and stuff. I lost like 50 pounds so far. So next year, my goal is to delete all my social media apps on my phone, and what I used to spend on social media, I'm now going to spend on my instruments. I think I'm actually going to start practicing a little bit. Like maybe just like an hour, you know, and I'm going to set it to where like if I don't have my laptop, guess what? I can't check fucking Instagram.
Right.
Like I'm going to stop using my phone for checking it out. But like I think like that's my goal, and that's from that last conversation and just thinking about the way you practice, where you actually film yourself. You're putting it out there on Front Street.
Dude, it's like it takes a while. I'm trying to get to where I can actually make this into something where it's like, not only am I presenting my ideas out there, but it's all original music. Right. So I'm probably just going to start off doing covers of other bands. Hope I don't get sued or copyright on YouTube or whatever. And then like my brother does a lot of music, a lot of hip hop beats and stuff like that. And that's what I thrive off of because I make my own melodies in my head. And so I just implement them into guitar. So we'll see where it takes me. But I just want to present new ideas to the world instead of just a regular old same shit, you know, just
fuck yeah.
Well, there's also just piggybacking off what you just said, just so you know, there's actually companies that for really cheap you can pay them a yearly balance. I think it's like $20 or $40 a year, and then you can do covers.
Oh, for real?
Because they will, if you make AdSense, like say you get popular on YouTube,
yeah,
they will actually divert some of that AdSense to the artist. So you're actually paying to be able to play the cover, and then YouTube won't, in turn, kick you off.
Yeah.
And it's really not that expensive, dude. From what I've heard, it's actually pretty cheap, and it works out contractually where you just won't get in trouble and your videos stay up. So I understand the whole building a brand thing, man. We're all trying it. That's the whole idea that this day and age. Used to, you just printed a couple flyers and 900 people showed up. Well, now you have to make 400 posts, pay Facebook $20. Fucking, it's a fucking nightmare, man.
So like for y'all's bands, do y'all does each member contribute to like social media, or is it just all focused on one person?
Okay, so typically it's me. Like whereas Justin typically writes the bulk of the songs for My Hands to War. Not Lame Johnny. Lame Johnny's different. For My Hands to War, it typically boils down to we all kind of have our own thing, but we can ask for help.
Yeah.
So sometimes, say I'm having like a busy week, I'll text Justin, hey, can you make a post about X? And he'll be like, sure, dude, no problem. And then I'll check later, like at night, because I couldn't get to it.
Right.
And he'll be like, yeah, dude, and it's up and it's doing whatever. And like songs, he'll bring in songs and we'll write together. We try to do it all together, but yeah, we do delegate because if everyone's doing it, I feel like the message is crossed.
Yeah.
So like, whereas I take the social media stuff over, if we're trying to boost a post or like we have a big show we're about to announce actually, and by the time this is out, it'll actually be announced.
Yeah.
So actually, I can go ahead and say it, but yes. October 19th is our annual Halloween bash. So I got the clear. All the bands are clear, I think. I actually need you to message Hunter for me, and then. Everything's good to go, and we're going to do it big. I've talked to our LD. We're going to have a big-ass light show. Yeah, we're going to have movers. We're going to have a pumpkin. I think this is part of the deal. We're going to have a pumpkin carved that says MHTW sucks with a strobe light in it.
Oh, that's sick.
Like corn and shit. Like, we're going to make it look like an actual horror-themed thing.
I've thought about getting overalls and wearing a flannel shirt and doing like some scarecrow makeup.
Definitely. Like, I think I'm going to wear, down at Walmart, they have these heads. They have a Rocco's Modern Life head. I totally think I'm going to get a Rocco's Modern Life head and drum as Rocco.
Fuck yeah, dude. Holy shit.
But I want to find one of those stupid surfer shirts like what he wears.
Yes.
But anyway, so like, yeah, dude, I get the delegating, because essentially you're making, like, I have to take the idea of our band and portray it in words. Dustin, that's the third time I've done that on here. Justin takes our band and portrays it in music.
Yeah.
Todd takes our band and he portrays it to the people he talks to and all that. So we're all carrying our own version to the things we're delegated to. Todd more is delegated to like the functionality.
And the live show.
He likes to hold our live show together. Like me and him kind of will bounce ideas off each other, but when it comes game time, that's all Todd. He's kind of the controller, because he's the front man, and most times everything's just copacetic, and it's just like, yeah, dude, just do it. Do whatever you want to.
Yeah, there's been very few times, especially since we got back together, where one of us brings in an idea and one of us immediately shuts it down. I don't think that's happened nearly.
Well, I think this is the first time we're all on the same page.
Yeah. It took us breaking up in 5 years of hiatus to do it.
Just honestly, this is the first time we ever all agreed, because we finally don't have all those fake pressures we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we really were trying to be, one of those bands. We were trying to go as far as humanly possible. And when it all ended, well, you get to reevaluate everything.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, wait, the dumb shit doesn't matter. This is all stupid. And you guys are my best friends. So it just, sadly, it took 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, or whatever you want to call it. I don't really know how else to say it. But
right. I feel like we're better than ever. Easily.
Yeah. And then, for our concerts, actually the promotion is kind of split 100% equally. So when it comes time for the actual concert, like this one, we're going to be selling tickets. Everyone gets the same amount, and we have a group text. Obviously, most bands have a group text, a band text, and we will all send each other. And not just, hey guys, can you do but we try to lift each other up. Like, I think that's important, man. I think a lot of bands miss out on that. You need a hype man.
Yeah.
Maybe you're having a shitty fucking day at work. Maybe something happened that didn't go your way, and you just don't feel like telling the guy Bill down the street that you were going to tell today a thing. But if you send out that text, man, it might just amp. If somebody sends that text and you get that text, hey guys, we're going to try to sell fucking 20 tickets today. That's the goal. I know we can do it. We're going to make this show fucking huge. This is going to be great. It's going to be great for everyone involved. We're working hard. And you just read that and you're like, yeah, fuck it. I am going to fucking talk to Bill. Like, I don't know who the fuck Bill is, but no, who the fuck's named Bill over fucking 40 anymore. But anyway.
My boss.
Right, see?
Damn.
Yeah. But like, yeah, dude, we try really hard to delegate certain aspects of our band to a member. But at the end of the day, it's got to be 100% agreed upon.
Yeah, for sure.
Even actually, what's ironic about that is before, when we broke up, our breakup post I typed out and sent out, and then got a message from Todd. Hey, man, I wish you would have cleared that with me. Because I was. If you go back and look, it's pretty brutally honest, and it wasn't exactly in Todd's favor.
Yeah.
Because I was the most mad. Because I felt like I probably had the most to lose too, because I had paid for the trailer, I had bought. We were using my Suburban, and then that had broke. The transmission went out, carrying our gear to shows. Like, I was just upset. I was very upset.
Yeah.
But that's another story for a whole another fucking story.
Oh no, it's going to be another podcast.
Yeah, actually, that's going to be a good one, dude. We're going to come in here, and it was Todd's idea.
Oh shit.
And we're going to have the conversation.
Just y'all three, or is there?
It's me, Justin, Bryce.
We're
going
to get Bryce is going to come down from Chicago
because Bryce was involved too.
Yeah, so it's going to be the four of us, and basically I'm going to kind of be the in between all three of them, because I was kind of caught in the crossfire.
You really were.
Just indirectly, because I was involved with this thing and I was involved in this thing, but I didn't have my hand in it. I just kind of got placed there.
You got roped into it.
Yeah,
you were
for
just
sure.
there.
But yeah, no, this podcast is going to happen, and when it does it, I mean, basically, we're going to just push everything out into the middle of the fucking table and talk about the shit that no one has ever heard for the last 6 years.
Literally. And I don't even think a lot of this conversation we've had. So
no, there's going to be stuff brought up that none of us
there's
know.
going to be real time discovery. Like, I'm excited.
Man, it's going to get interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, and we even said off the podcast when we were all in the room, like, when this podcast happens, like, we have to be able to talk about it, and then at the end of it, we need to be okay. And I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Dude. We'll be fine.
I mean, I know, like, there's more to the story with every band breaking up and then getting together and all that. But from the last podcast, I believe y'all said the main reason as to why y'all took that first breakup, well, the last breakup, was because he moved.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you said that you were pretty pissed about that.
A lot of it comes down to the behind the scenes, which is what we'll get into on the other one. But there were things happening that were definitely futuristic, and there were decisions being made. There was all of these choices, and we had, as a band, become very fragmented.
Yes.
We didn't take the time to talk, which now we have a rule. You talk to, like, there is no not talking. If you fucking have a problem with me, you say it before it gets stupid. There's, we have all these things in place now, but back then they didn't exist. And it got to a point where we didn't even, we would come to practice and we wouldn't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
We would just play, and then you would see us at a show, and we're playing with Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
Dillinger Escape Plan.
Or we're playing with Dillinger Escape Plan, or we're playing with Attack with 400 fucking people, sold out show. And after the show, the most you might say is, hey, I need my Tom, I need this, we're packing the trailer up, and then, like, that's it.
Yeah.
It was very there's just a lot people don't know that was going on, and it's gonna be a really good conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And most of that, a lot of that was really, the big rift was between me and Todd.
Yeah.
And there was, not anymore, but I can say this, Todd was very arrogant. And me and him have grown closer as friends, unreal, this last 2 years. And we've both talked about it, and we'll talk about it more on the other podcast, but there was just this arrogance to him and this stubbornness that I had, and still very much have. But now I know how to articulate it better.
I mean, that's pretty much like how Kingdom Under Siege ended. I mean, it was Evan, Lucas, Jeremy, and myself, and Hunter was in and out, and it was mainly coming down to the point where it was like our friendships were about to just end because of one or two people. Like, back at the time, Lucas was very like, he was like, okay, I wrote this part. This is how you're going to play it. If you don't play it, you're out, pretty much. He did that to everyone but Jeremy, because Jeremy was like the only drummer in the city besides Aaron, but Aaron, I don't even think lived there at the time. But so at the end, we did a show at that place in Conway, the Soundstage.
Soundstage, yeah.
Yeah, and Jeremy played guitar, because that was like way beyond whenever the new season ended. And Jeremy played guitar and did a cover with Keaton and them for On Wings of Integrity, that My Children, My Bride cover. And we always used to ride with Jeremy because he was the only one that had a driver's license. And so we all got in the car, and Jeremy was driving, and Jeremy was like, I don't want to play anymore. I'm done. And I was like sitting in the back with my rallies, like, what the fuck? So I'm eating my burger, and like Lucas was like looking at him, like, he was like, are you serious, dude? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm done. And so, I mean, we've literally grown up together since kindergarten, and after that, I think everybody took a look at themselves, because even when we recorded our music, Evan and Lucas would butt heads all the fucking time.
Right.
It got to the point where we recorded this one song at Upper Room up in Whitehall, and Evan just left because he was so pissed off at Lucas, like, left. And I was like, well, we need vocals for the song, so what are we going to do? So they had to hash it out. And after that show, I mean, I think everybody just took a look at themselves, and then Lucas calmed down. He's like, not even the same person that I used to know. Like, he's so chill. It's scary. So I don't know if he's pissed off or what. I don't trust it, but we're close. He came to my wedding from Rogers, so I was like, fuck, I love you, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. Of
That's
course.
awesome.
Well, time heals all wounds, man.
Oh, for
it
sure,
really
dude.
does. I've got some new wounds that happened to me last night, but I'm not going to get into it. But it's very scary.
Yeah.
Very scary things. I was roped up in some hair-raising things. But here's another way to fucking spin that around. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you were at War Memorial.
Yeah. Let's just... I'll talk to you guys off air because, again, not to be political.
Dude,
but
I was worried, man, for real. I was like,
listen, it was... And I have some thoughts, and I have some things, but that maybe for another time, man. I might save it because I mean, that's a rare experience.
Right.
I definitely am in some sort of club now, but and not that I fucking wanted to be.
Yeah.
But it's a good conversation to have. I promise you that because the thoughts they don't stop. It's
Right.
weird. It's weird to think about it all. But
if it makes you feel any better, I saw my wife almost get T-boned right in front of me. So
when the fuck did that happen?
Today. Like, she was having car problems, so we went to her grandparents' house, and I followed her. So on the way home, it was like a curvy road, and this car was coming from a straight road to get on the curvy road, and she was just driving, and the car wouldn't stop and almost hit her. It was like this old couple too, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, dude.
Couple, dude.
Should have got out and beat their ass.
You can't get out and beat the old couple's
can't.
ass. That's the problem.
Can't.
Why not?
And I'm half black, so I'll definitely go to jail."
Fucking hate crimes, yeah. Man.
I there was one dude that was trying to pull in somewhere, and it was when I was still driving the Yaris, and I wasn't taking up that much space.
Swamp donkey.
Yeah, with this old dude in like a Buick or like an old Chrysler, took forever to make this slight left turn.
Always.
And I had my window down, and he had his window down too, and I was like blasting music. I was riding with John, and he was just like, "Get out of the damn road, kid." This dude had to be like at least 350 years old. So I just kind of like, I wasn't even paying attention. I had my cigarette out, blasting music. I'm just biding my time, waiting for him to make the turn so I can get back on the fucking main road. It's like on Dave Ward or something. And John's like, "Are you just going to take that from that old dude?" And I was like, I didn't even hear what he said. He was like, "Oh, he said, get out of the damn road." And I just like looked back and I stuck my head. I was like, "Hey, you're going to die soon."
That's hilarious. I kind of did that same shit. There was
Dude.
there was an old guy honking at an old woman. Ironic as fuck. She was taking her time and he was in a hurry. And this was at McCain when you come out of the mall, right there by the tire place, and you're trying to go left, and all those lights hit at the same time. Stupid as fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyone that lives in Arkansas knows that intersection, and it is fucking dumb. Well, this old woman is scared out of her fucking mind because, dude, even I get chills driving through that four-way. And this old man is honking his horn unreal, and my mom is driving. I think this is the first time I ever cussed in front of my mom. And I roll the window down, and it gets to the bottom, and he's still honking, and I look right over at him, and I say, "Hey, shut the fuck up." And he looks at me with his glass. He has these big old glasses. He was probably a sweet old man. I don't know. But he looks at me with these glasses. He goes, "Drop dead." And I said, "You first, motherfucker."
Nice. Hell yeah. Fuck old people. That's not true.
It's not true at all.
Not fuck old people, but just like old people are rude and they have like the currency to get away with it.
Well, yeah, because they got not long left.
Exactly. Like that, but that pisses me off.
Well, yeah, but imagine how we're gonna be. Tommy will probably be a sweetheart. I'm gonna be a fucking absolute
You're gonna be a piece of shit, dude. Straight up. You're already a piece of shit now.
Yeah.
Imagine you when you can't hold your pee in and you've got to like.
And I got to get to the urinal.
Well, no, not even got to get to the urinal. Like you got to get to the fucking rec center to play bingo.
Right. I'm probably the type of old dude who just piss on himself. I'm disgusting.
I would do that right now. I have to pee.
Put a catheter on you.
I'll just be like, well, that's the best way is to just piss in
I don't
this
know,
tube.
man, because you have to be awake for them to jam that shit in. That's the worst part to me. Like, I don't have a problem peeing in a colostomy bag or shit in a colostomy bag. That's fine. But you have to be awake for them to put that shit in.
Well, I had surgery once, and I remember them taking it out. They put it in when the juice was loose, if you will. So, like, I was out of my fucking mind when they put it in there, but I wasn't asleep. But, man, when I woke up, bro, that's a weird feeling right there. Having a tube in your wiener is weird.
Someone.
Where did we get to this?
Well, I don't know.
We went from car crashes to old people to tubes in your wiener.
Someone had a major surgery, and they said going in, like, it doesn't hurt. It just feels strange because it's such a narrow thing.
Yeah.
But they're like, when they pull it out, you just feel, it's just like when you get like your prostate checked, like you feel like you have to shit. So when you take the catheter out, you've had that thing in there so long, it's just like a normal part. So it's like, you just feel like you have to pee the whole time. And that fucking sucks.
Next.
Yeah. All right.
Let's just keep going. Tommy's disgusted.
Here's one of my fucking...
You're in one of the heaviest, hardcore, most violent bands in Arkansas. So we start talking about catheters, and Tommy's like, move on.
Here's one of my favorite guitar things. Let's get back to guitar. Jesus Christ, we're terrible.
We all play tambourine, right?
Oh, that's right. How do you tune them tams, bro? Tight, half loose, full loose?
I prefer cowbells, bro.
Cowbells?
Oh,
okay.
shit.
Cowbells.
Get off.
Cowbells all the way.
Cowbells.
That's fair.
Makes a good jam.
That's
all right,
fair.
so here's one. All right, two big questions for guitar players. One, Justin has none of this, but tone.
I knew you were going to say it.
So
that or gear knowledge.
For me, well, yeah, I'm a pseudo gear nerd. I have friends that are unreal gear nerds, and they tell me things. And then Justin is basically the exact opposite of that. He goes, "Oh, it makes a noise. It must sound exactly how I want it to. I'm fine with it. Let's play the show." Justin, that is a literal amp from 1983, and it is fucking 4 inches big,
and it's on fire.
It sounds great. Okay, so. I know guitar shit is expensive, especially for like that legendary tone.
Yeah.
So where's like my middle of the road is like cheap orange. I have an Egnator cabinet. It's got Celestion G12s, I do believe. They're not the V30s. They're the G12s on one side, and the they actually had a special version of the. I want to say the V30 made for their cabinet, so it's not a V30, it's just a version of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to pedals later, but as far as tone goes, basically I run into an OCD, I tone it out to the clean channel. I don't have the distortion channel on.
Okay.
And then running into, which is 16 ohms, into my orange 4 what's it? 4 or something? It's the solid state one. It's the only one they make. The Crush 20 or something like that. And because God forbid I pay $3,000 for an amp head, into my Egnator 16 ohms, one cabinet. I don't use 2 cabinets, and I actually really like my tone, but I'm a bit of a tone junkie. But I have a friend who's more so, and he actually came over and helped me tone it out.
Yeah,
and I'm just thinking, like, being a band that's so fucking heavy, like you guys, like, is tone really something y'all focus on, or is it more of like a back burner idea that you just kind of tinker with on your own?
For this record, tone is a major key. My tone, I play according to the music style. So I'm running a EVH 50 watt head, 6L6s in it, through a Marshall, I don't know what it's called, but I got it from Connor. He used to be in PM Today.
Oh, nice.
And I'm running it through I got an HM2 pedal, which is actually Dalton's are the guitar players. So I guess we're going for more of that like lightsaber, I'm gonna call it, kind of tone.
Right.
But if it's just me, I'll just put a tube screamer in front of it and try to get just a nice, clear, articulate kind of.
More of a classic distortion.
Yeah. Something that like doesn't just sound like
just all of noise.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You like to hear like when you hit like a what is that one? The C?
I want clarity. That's all I want.
Clarity.
Right. Now, when we went to Capitol View, I don't really know how long it takes for people to put in their guitar tones and do all that, but Dalton put in a good like hour or so to get his tone. And then when I went in, he just kind of messed around with it, and I told him what I wanted. He was like, okay, cool. So you got his tone, which is more of like a beefy, just kind of in-your-face tone, and mine's more of a beefy, kind of clarity kind of tone.
More articulate.
Yeah. That way you can kind of distinguish the two, but it's also full.
It's full.
So
right.
That's our main focus.
So y'all played off each other's strengths and built a tone together.
Yeah.
That's fucking smart, man. A lot of bands don't. That's a great point to make, man. A lot of bands come in, and especially like I think this is a good point to hit on, and I think all you guys would agree. A lot of bands, when you're starting out, you have like that cheap gear.
Yep.
There's nothing fucking wrong with cheap gear, dude.
Nope.
There's nothing wrong. I think where it makes a difference is your ability to talk to each other and agree on a middle road.
Yep.
Because I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen bands where they'll like, you know, Stage Left. This actually just happened to us not long ago. So Stage Left was rocking this unreal high gain, no mid, high low push.
Yeah.
The classic metal.
The crank and the Randall.
Well, what you would do to a crank and a Randall. This wasn't what he had, but that classic Metallica drive all crunch sound, right? And then the guy on the stage right, which would be if you're in the crowd, that's your left, because it's backwards.
Yeah.
Some people don't know that. I just like to reiterate. So the guy stage right, he had what I would consider a decent tone. You know, it had a body to it. It had maybe too much low end for what I liked, because it had like, let the bass be the low end.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 1900 lows in your mix.
Yeah.
Like it's there already, and let the bass drive that, because 9 times out of 10, not only is it the bass driving that, but if you have a great bass player, it's also the kick drum, because he's playing the kick drum to your rhythm. Is essentially what they're doing. Most bass players, especially with that style of music, you got that real driving sound. You're trying to. It's like listening to you guys is like trying to like break down a brick fucking wall with music. Like there's something on the other side. You got to get through it. Put on some Terminal Nation. We'll get this wall down.
There's a fucking chocolate bar on the other side of this wall, and you can't go around it. Well, time to fucking break this shit down.
We're gonna go right through it. Fuck that. Yeah. So I think that's great for a lot of bands to know too. Like even if you're rocking like that, you know, that classic crate half stack.
Yeah.
You know, the one that we all have fucking owned, or combo amp, whatever. I had the half. I actually had a full stack crate. I still miss that fucking thing. I love that amp. But you know, when we had 2 guitar players, there was this, okay, you're not competing. You're one sound.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to be louder than the other guy, your lead guitarist, and you have to establish who's the lead and who's the rhythm. Even if you're quote unquote both leads, which 9 times out of 10 is not necessarily true. Just because you're playing the same parts doesn't mean you're both leads.
Yeah.
It's the guy that takes command when the shit gets real funky. That's your lead guitar player. And like we have this too, man. We'll come in and we'll match. We start volumes first, and we'll go, okay, this fill needs to be at this volume, and this surge needs to be at X volume, and we'll set all of our pedals, all of our gains, and we'll set everything up, and then we'll start focusing on, okay, well, you are handling this kind of part of the song, so your amp should sound like X.
Yeah.
And Justin, you're handling this part, which Justin is your sound, very articulate.
Yeah.
He's the one hitting all those fancy notes, especially when it's the beef of the mix.
Yeah.
So he would be the lead guitar player. So he's slightly louder. His shit is slightly tuned more to a more articulate sound. Where John, he comes in and he's the beef. He's the balls of the situation. So when he starts playing, he takes what Justin's doing, and now it's got that robust. He adds that robust fullness to the sound, and you're like, oh shit, dude! I'm telling you, man. The first fucking practice we had with John, and we heard parts to songs we haven't heard in 7 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's how long it had been since we had heard those notes ring out in that room.
Yeah, it was fucking
And
wild.
I almost lost it, dude. I'm getting older, and let me tell you, the older you get, the more sentimental shit gets, and the more tears you make. Because you start just kind of holding on to stuff, and man, we were hearing these parts that we just hadn't heard in so long, and I was like, that is fucking pure magic. Because a lot of the stuff when Dustin was around, dude, we weren't playing those old songs. We were just writing, we were recording Unreal because we had to kind of do it in our spare time.
Yeah.
So a lot of our practices were spent this computer right here, making that album, Isolation Blooms, and just trying to get something out.
Yeah.
You know, because we had that big show coming up and all that stuff. So, like, to hear John come in and just articulate and add that fullness, man, I get what you're saying 100%. I think bands who are just starting out or guitar players who are starting out, if you have that second guitar player, you have to compromise.
Yeah.
And be real with yourself. If you're the rhythm guitar player, dude, there ain't nothing wrong with being a rhythm guitar player. You're the nuts.
Yeah.
You're that fucking beef. And without you, your band would be way less full.
Yeah.
So own that shit.
You lose a lot of power when you just move down to one guitarist too.
So much,
You really
dude.
do.
I mean, I know you guys know,
Yeah.
right? And we know.
Mm-hmm.
And in Lame Johnny, we make up for it with we drive the bass harder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Sans amp. We push the gain a little bit. We push the envelope with the bass guitar, but this by design because we know we're only one guitar player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when Cody's maybe he breaks a string or something falls out or the amp quits working, bro, you fucking it's like, oh shit.
Or just even when we practice without him, it's so noticeable.
It sucks, dude. Me and Justin have gotten to where now we'll just write. We won't even fucking practice. Because it sucks.
If Cody can't come out, we'll work on new shit.
Yeah.
And that's how most of these especially these newer songs, came out as just Cory and I jamming, and then Cody would come in, and he would never like necessarily look at what Cory's doing, but he would just kind of find where we're at and walk off that.
Right. And he's getting really good at that too.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting good.
Well, I was saying on the Hunters on the podcast with Hunter is that like sometimes Cody and I would start jams. And Cory would fill his way in. And
yeah, it's we all write.
Yeah,
we all share. You guys do too. It sounds like.
Yeah.
It's very rare that we will actually come in with a nugget. I think one of my favorite stories to piggyback off the earlier story is one of my favorite things that we ever wrote was this song called Texas Viking, and it's actually about myself because that's where I'm from. My lineage is Viking lineage, and I was like, dude, I want to write this song. I'm kind of a gung ho kind of guy. Just get shit done. I take charge. I was like, I want to write a song about that instinct that I have that's in me. And did I call you? Yeah, I made him call me. It's like, he fucking hates talking on the phone.
I hate talking on the phone so much.
So like, I'm like, hey, dude, you got to call me. I have this idea. He's like, like UGH. Okay.
Yeah.
And he calls me and I'm like, dude, I want you, Justin, to write a song, a Lame Johnny song, but I want it to sound like Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die wrote it. And he was like, okay, I can get behind that. And so it was like the next week, probably.
A week and a half, 2 weeks, probably, at the most.
He brings in this riff. We're riff farming.
Yeah.
He brings in this riff, and me being the terrible guitar player that I am, I fuck it up. And I rewrite the riff in my own fashion accidentally. Because I'm sitting there trying to get the one that he wrote down, and
it's almost the same fingering, like the movement style, and just the chord placement. But instead of being in standard D, it's in drop C.
Right. Well, that's how I compromised.
Yeah.
I was like, can I try this in drop because I have the sausage finger problem.
Giant fat fingers.
I have giant fat fucking fingers, so like they like to take up a lot of the fretboard.
Yeah.
So I start writing this part, and I write it. It's almost what he wrote, but it's definitely different. But that's like one of my favorite times of like when somebody brings in something or has an idea for something, and then you all get to build it together.
Yeah.
It's like someone bringing in a blueprint for a house, and you all get to build this house together. But you're all putting your own input at the same time. Like the foundation's been laid. That single solitary riff wrote that entire song.
Yeah.
But that's the foundation. Just that one riff spawned that entire rest of that song. And we wrote that whole fucking thing right there, 2 hours.
Yep.
And it's absolutely, we open with it almost exclusively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did that with Absolute. I don't know if it's called Absolute Power or Absolute Control. It's the title track, whatever, to that release. I had a riff idea, and I was listening to Metallica heavy at the time. So I was like, dun 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 dun, and so I sent like a minute script over to the group chat and all this, and they're like, okay, this sounds pretty cool, let's check it out at practice. Go to practice, and Stan's like, we should like intro it harder than that, man. You're just going duh and going straight into the riff. Let's just fucking do like a 4 count, bum 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 bum. And I was like, oh shit. So we did that, and I think Dalton wrote the rest of that song, and I was just like, damn, this is sick.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a whole big thing, and I think we play that second now because we open up with the Arsenic Earth, which will be on the new record.
Nice.
Record, sweet. Love those new record jams, man.
Yeah.
We're finishing up ours. I think we just have like a song left to do vocals, which actually got lost. So the song was done, and now I have to go back. But
That's the best part.
yeah,
That's literally the best part, you know. Yeah.
So,
but it just lost the vocals though. That's
that's cool because God forbid we lost the whole song. That would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But so we go back, finish the vocals. That's this Thursday.
Yeah.
We got a guy coming in, dude. He's a Spanish speaking friend of mine, and he's gonna do the overlay over this other song called Upheaval, and it's super cool, man. It's this thing I wrote. I didn't even realize I wrote it. I must have been like inebriated or something. Found it in my phone a few weeks ago. Literally cleaning out my notes app.
He showed me.
Whoa. And Justin was like, dude, no, we have to put this on the album. I was like, has like a speech kind of thing. He's like, okay. So we kind of like worked out the details, right? And then I was driving down the fucking road, and this is how this shit happens, man. I'm driving down the road in my job, and Justin's told me how he wants the song to kind of sound, and I'm like, okay, we can fuck with that. Like, let's try to like make this work. And we're bouncing ideas off each other, and I call him, and I'm like, bro, what if it's in Spanish? And we print it in Spanish, and everything about it is in Spanish. And he was like, he actually paused for a second. He was like, yeah, that is actually really cool. Yeah. So like none of it will be in English except for on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's pretty tight.
I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to. I want people to like figure out what it says.
Yeah,
it's like homework. It's like band homework.
And like we didn't have there's no music behind it except for like one of the songs on the CD is so we're in like D standard drop C. One song is the low strings tuned down to G to make it that octave, and then in mid song he tunes up to C and back down to G, up to C, down to G
in real time.
In
while
the song.
I'm singing.
Yeah,
and it's
heavy as fuck.
We practice it so much, and I have to, dude. It's so hard.
like the riff wise, if you listen to the song, it's basic as fuck.
But here's the cool part, and this
so
goes back to
heavy.
our guitar play. Oh, dude, it's so fucking heavy. It's like we took a Norma Jean song and just and we brought it down to the depths of hell and just kept writing it. And the idea of the song, I mean, not to bring up politics, but it actually probably is one of the only more political songs we have, which is it's more of a statement than a political view. But the song's called Mouth Breathers. Yeah. And it's, I mean, the name says it all. It's kind of about how the state of things, anyway, I don't want to get into it. Right. You'll read the lyrics and go, oh, I see exactly what he's fucking saying.
But on Upheaval...
But the guitar tone, and here's the cool part about that song is like, usually for something like that, you would get your guitar intonated, you would have 13 gauge strings minimum for a fucking song in G. Yeah. You would have hopefully a thicker neck. You would play it on a completely different guitar, generally speaking. Yeah. So what I did was thinking that and knowing that, because I do know some shit about tone and guitar scales and all that stuff and how guitar works as far as intonation goes. I just decided to throw all of that shit out the window, and I literally do that with 10 gauge strings on my Fender Tele.
Jesus Christ, dude.
And it is so fucking that
G
sounding. Is just, and if I play it in the bridge, you literally can't distinguish it. I have to play it on not the bridge, but on the neck. If I play it on the neck, you can't distinguish what I'm doing. I literally have to play it on the bridge pickup
with such like a heavy attack,
like right over the top. And my thumb, I'm using my thumb. I use wedgie picks. They have a little dent in them.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever played with one of those?
Yeah,
okay, cool. I was like, dude, I'll give you one. I fucking love them. They're hard as hell to find. Amazon only for some reason, but I actually there's like a thumb groove for people who don't know what a wedgie pick is. There's like a thumb groove built into the pick with like some grip tape shit in it.
Yeah.
And I'll actually take the middle part of that pick and I'll use my thumb. Think of like putting your thumb inside a taco shell, and I'll just dig. And I just dig right off the bridge, and it's like this blah, 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 blah. It's got this almost drum beat-esque, like a floor tom.
Yeah, like a percussive kind of.
Yes, it's got a very percussive picking. Because I'm also a drummer, so a lot of my percussion bleeds into my guitar playing, which we talked about last time. But that song, man, is guitar wise, might be the most inventive song I've ever written on a guitar. And it's super simple. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about the fingering. I'm talking about the fact that we take a song, we go all the way to G. Mm-hmm. It's not even, the guitar's not even supposed to be in G. Yeah. It's probably no good for the guitar at all. And I'm in real time to the chorus, I'm tuning into C, using the strings in my ears and the way the pitch in my voice comes out. And I'm using my diaphragm, and I'm feeling the vibration as it matches the guitar tone. And then I go to 7 for the chorus.
Which matches the G.
Which matches the G, which is now in standard, or C drop C. Standard D drop C. So it takes me a lot to get that out of my mouth. I can't believe I got most of that right.
I'm proud of you.
But in real time. And that happens 4 times?
Yeah, you start in G, you tune up to C for the chorus, back down to G for the verse, up to C for the second chorus, then back down to G to finish it. Up to C, down to G, up to C, down to G.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And I'm singing.
Yeah, he's still
the whole time.
He's hollering.
I'm hollering. It's not even actually a scream until the very end is when I start screaming.
Right.
But most of it's like that. I like to call it like a Norma Jean and Maylene kind of made it popular. The yell, the gritty yell thing. It's like that.
Yeah.
But that's probably my favorite guitar thing I've ever done. And that's another thing for guitar players out there, man. Don't be afraid to just get weird.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, dude.
Noodle around has been how we have written shit since.
But like, I know, like, you guys have a style, and our band has a style, and Lame Johnny has a style. But inside that style, like, it doesn't make... Okay, so we like to say Lame Johnny is like the Foo Fighters in the Chariot, fucked around and had a baby, and out popped Lame Johnny. That's the style. But inside that same style, like, there's no fucking need for us to play a song in G. You know? But here we are. We have it, and it actually sounds like a Lame Johnny song because we stayed within our musical parameters, and definitely a lot of that, I feel like, I don't know if you feel the same way, Tommy, but like, you guys could probably write something that's not necessarily a Terminal Nation song, but the second Stan does his part over it, it's a fucking Terminal Nation song.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like, vocals are a big glue. Okay, we're still vocals are a huge amount of glue, right?
Yeah.
So, like, guitar players out there, don't be afraid to wander off. You know what I'm saying? Because there's more to the band than you.
Yeah.
Your drummer, if he adds his flavor over say you want to do something pretty and you're notoriously heavy, like you guys.
Yeah.
You're notoriously heavy. Your shows are fucking insane, but y'all want to say, man, let's take a step outside and do something legitimately pretty with the guitars.
Yeah.
But the drums still got that punch, and the vocals still have that gnarly ripping sensation. It's like, okay, man, this is new. It's different.
Yeah.
But it's still them. It's still that band.
It's also like, depending on who you are, I feel like it's more so being progressive, honestly. Like, just not staying in that bubble. I mean, vocals are definitely a huge part of it. Like, I remember back when we did the demo, our first demo, we were going for more of like a punk, fast, hardcore kind of deal.
Right.
And then when we did Waste, we kind of just got a little bit heavier and try to do a couple little things, maybe add a couple solos and change up the tuning, do something like that. And then I think Absolute Control is when we're like, okay, this is like our sound. Even though we could go completely left and just do like a fucking pop rock song, we put fucking Stan's vocals on that, they'll know it's a Terminal Nation song.
Exactly.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying, man. I was about to say,
I definitely want to hear more bands, especially around here, that aren't afraid to just, like, every once in a while, just, like, I love doing that jazz break and nepotism so much because it's pummeling, then just drops to nothing.
It literally drops to nothing, and it goes into this blues jazz fusion part. And even I couldn't play the drum part right until, honestly, we started back, because I was then a better drummer. And I knew what the part needed, and what the part needed was drags. And I couldn't do them. There's this thing called stirring the soup, and with a drumstick, it's kind of like a different function. And I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But when we came back, I mean, I've been playing for years now, apart from that band, and now all of a sudden I could. So that song actually sounds more right today than it ever has, and that's why we actually continue to play some of those old songs, is because, man, they actually sound like they're supposed to. Like back in the day when we were premature, and we were not premature, fucking immature. Yeah. That's the real word. We were just. But I think one of mine and Justin's biggest focuses, and it might be yours too, it seems like it is you try to take what you're doing, you add your own flavors to it, but also at the same time you're trying to like fit yourself in your groove but be original at the same time.
Yes.
Because there's nothing worse, and I don't know if you're like this, but are you one of those guys? You might be, and that's okay if you are. I get why people get mad about bands who come out with an album and it's sonically different.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, because I'm in a band and I'm like, dude, I don't want to play the same shit for 20. I don't mind playing the old songs.
Yeah.
But when I write something new, I don't want it to sound like the album I already wrote.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know for guitar players, man, me speaking, like, we've already started writing for our next record, which won't even be out for probably 2 fucking years.
Yeah.
But already we're doing different things from what the first record, like, we're taking those notes and those tones and we're pushing them forward even more.
Yeah.
It's a progression. Everything's a progression. I feel like the bands that come out, and you can kind of say your piece too, is I feel like the band that comes out, like the comeback bands, we get like 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah.
The ones that make the album everybody wanted tend to just fade away.
Yeah.
They go away again, and then you just don't hear shit from them ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But the bands that push the limit, they make everybody pissed off. They change everybody's mind. They don't change their style per se. Like, they're not a brand new band, but they took their style and just freshened it the fuck up.
I mean, you could probably use Under Oath as an example.
Well, Erase Me got unreal hate. It got an
I
unreal
love
amount. I love it. But I also love bands pushing the limit. And with that band, I kind of think it's not fair, because you know what? They used to be death metal. So if you liked Chasing Safety, technically you don't like Under Oath at all, because guess what? 3 fucking albums before that was straight fucking death metal. And I've got all of them. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
And Chasing Safety sounds nothing like Define and Lost in the sound probably sonically the same.
The closest.
But then after that, Disambiguation sounds nothing like that. So all that aside, they're a great band to use as a likeness to that. Yeah. But I know, just being a musician, dude, I don't want to make the same album twice.
Yeah. It's almost like you feel like you're stuck in a box, but that actually happens to me a lot when I feel like I need to make parts that sound like this because I know everybody's going to be down with it. But when I go to practice and like Dalton presents something new and it's something that I think like nobody would want, everybody's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I'm like, oh, so we can do that. Okay, so let me try some shit.
Right.
Okay, fucking cool. Now we got a whole new fucking
sound.
So
you're just riding off the influence from Dalton and all that stuff, and then back and forth.
Yeah.
And injecting your personality into it.
Yeah.
Oh,
because, dude, we all grow. Like, you're not the same guy you were 4 years ago.
Oh, hell no.
No, and I'm not the same guy I was 4 years ago. And Justin, you're not the same guy you were 4 years ago.
When Cory brought in the riff I did for Mouth Breathers, when he was like, I want to tune mid-song, I was just like, I mean, like, I'm
but
sure.
That's all I knew, though.
Right.
See, the original version of that song, I believe, was an F because it was played on the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was originally F to all the way up to standard D. So you're going, instead from G to C, you're going from F to D. So it's a much wider range.
Much wider range.
Y'all are doing way too much over here.
Well, but again, here's what solidified it. I couldn't do it because my vocal range, I've actually tuned myself, and I have a very, I don't know what to call it, but I sing in D. That's why we play in it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we'd be in standard because I was always playing in standard.
Yeah.
And one day I just started singing. I was like, well, I'll just break my metronome out, and I'm going to start singing to this thing. And then it kept, the most repetitive note was D. And I was like, oh, so I fucking sing in D.
Yeah.
I figured that out on my own, which I'm actually pretty proud of my fucking self because I don't know why it made me, I don't know why I thought of that. And then I just was like, oh, well, I'm just going to tune down to fucking D from now on, and I'm just going to write in that. And so that's why the original one was F. Right, F to D. And Justin was like, dude, just do it. It was actually Justin's idea. So just go to, let's go to G and we'll tune to C, but just get just get low, like do that drolly thing you do. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, but just yell it, like stop. I was trying to sing it is what it was. And he was like, no, just change the way you're doing it. So like, again, you know, him being a guitar player, me being a guitar player, and us knowing like how to function off each other, it ended up working itself out. So now I can in real time tune a fucking song up in the middle of the song. And it's not an original idea. I really thought it was, but it's not.
See, that's what I was going to say, was just like, I know people have tuned in mid-song before and all that stuff, but just like being a part of a song that does that, it's so fucking cool.
It's cool, man. Hey, you guys should try it. It's fucking weird, dude.
You could even do one, you could just even do like a semitone.
Well, we used to do that in this other band I was in, and it was, but the song didn't make any, like that part was at the end. And so it was like on purpose, you know, like we did tune down, but it was so the song, because the song slowed down and it was just this open note. And it was Zero, the band I was in. And it would just tune down till eventually the string was literally just making like,
which is the worst noise in the world.
And really, it wasn't even part of the song because we didn't record it that way. So that doesn't really count. But I've always been interested in
innovative,
because I have to be, man. I feel like, Tommy, like where your ability, man, you're so good. You can kind of do the things you think of, whereas I have to be not creative but inventive. Yeah. Because like I am hindered. I really am. Like, and Justin can see it on my face. Just like last week, man. I get so frustrated by my inabilities because I know what this fucking song needs and I just cannot do it. And that's my own fault because I don't practice. Yeah. And that's why next year I'm definitely going to take some initiative. But I'm just going to let it ride this year because we're finishing up the album and I can already play what we're playing, so there's really no need. Yeah. But whereas you take shit to like this creative level, and Justin can do it too, man. Like y'all hear something, y'all can play it.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of that because I cannot do that. So I have to creatively make it happen, like inventively. Like we've tried out all kinds of weird stuff with me doing guitar stuff. There's a new song we're working on where I can't actually sing the chorus line, but I've got this. I'm gonna get a tremolo pedal and make it to where I can. Like, so I just have to be more on my feet. Yeah, I guess.
And especially playing with Lame Johnny and like working, especially like evolving styles since you and I have started. There are certain styles of songs that you and I we just can't play together.
No, there's not, because you know what it is, and I can't grasp it.
Right, or the other way around. There's an idea that you can't articulate that I can't meet you halfway on.
Yeah, that happens. That does happen, and we actually have a rule, like you guys were saying, where like y'all can actually work stuff out. Yeah. But I think that's because y'all do have more members. I think that actually does happen in My Hands to War. But with Lame Johnny in particular, literally, if we don't play it and finish that song that day, the music, not the lyrics. Yeah. We don't play it. It's done. We trash it. Like we trash so many songs.
We wrote a pop punk song in practice one time just based off a riff that Cory and I were jamming over, and Todd made up lyrics about popcorn on the spot, and it was tight as fuck. It was so fucking tight.
Yeah, but it
was like super melodic, and Todd was going in between like screaming and just screaming, and I didn't have any words, but I would just like hum a melody, and like we kept like each part was transitioned well without us even having to like be like, oh no, we need to do this. It's just like it would just flow. Like Cory would stop at a certain part and I would do a thing and we just kick right back into it, and like when we were done, Todd was like, hey, let's remember that and do that again at the end of the practice. And like 3 songs later was like, hey, do you remember the popcorn song? No, I fucking don't. I know what the first note is. I know the exact chord progression. Yeah. Where it is on the fretboard, I don't know. I know where my hands were though.
Yeah.
Or I know how my hand was shaped.
So I think that's cool, man. I think that's cool that you guys can actually do that, because we can't. We don't have that ability to.
Well, with us too, though, a lot of our members are like either dads or they got pushing careers. Right. And so it's kind of hard to get everybody under one roof. So
we're getting there.
When we do practice, it's like we have to get something done. It's not just like, oh, we'll just put it off. It's like, no. Like
it's always crunch time.
We've literally sat down. We were working on the end of this one song, and Dalton and I were like trying to figure out an ending riff because we knew it needed kind of like a breakdown at the end. and we stayed there for like 2 hours. And I was like, okay, what do you got? He's like, what do you got? I was like, I don't know. All right, let's do something. We looked at Chase. We're like, got a rhythm part? He's like, nope. Okay, we'll figure it out. We just sat there in Stan's house, just like fucking jamming it out.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I love those days though, man.
Dude.
It's the accomplishment feeling's high on those days.
Oh yeah.
How many hours a day do you practice, dude?
Damn. Okay, so
a week, not a day.
The most time I've ever spent away from a guitar was a week, and that was for the honeymoon. Yeah.
Wow, that's it.
It fucking sucked. So, a day it's probably like 3 to 4 because I'll come home, I'll take care of our dog, and then when Shelby comes home from work, from the time she walks in to the time we go to bed, I'm just playing my guitar.
No shit.
I'm working on either Terminal Nation material or like other project material, or just like trying to do covers or figure out what I like.
So
and just fucking jam. So
damn.
That's what I usually do.
So like, okay, I'm gonna take it to this place. Like, me and Justin don't call music. We call it therapy. And I know you probably suffer from you have like some sad feelings and shit too. Like we all do. All musicians have it. You have like that brain where you just get fucking sad about shit. And then that's how we take our frustrations out.
Yeah.
Like we call band practice time for a therapy session. You know what I'm saying? And I like to, dude, that's so crazy. So this is more than just playing guitar for you.
Yeah. I've had a couple past couple very rough years. So I lost my mom like last year to ovarian cancer. That was rough. And then Dustin passed like either later that month or the next month. And so both of those kind of hit me hard. More so my mom, because I knew Dustin, but I didn't know Dustin like y'all knew Dustin.
Right. And but it's still a guy that passed away that you knew. It's always sad.
And plus, it's your mom. That's like a blood family member you've known your entire life.
Well, it's your mom, man.
Yeah.
Don't get much deeper than that.
Yeah. Like, she was like my matriarch, like everything. So it's like when I lost her, I was like, holy fuck. So it's like music is therapy. I mean, I know people are there for you. You know, my wife's there for me. She was there in the same room when my mom passed away. So she knows exactly what I was feeling. Like, she saw everything. So whenever I'm working on music, she doesn't really like bother me or anything, because she knows that's kind of my time to just kind of just let out whatever I'm feeling. Right. But it's kind of like a balance too. It's like it keeps me sane because I'm a very angry person. I don't know if I've been angry since my mom's passing or if I'm just an angry person in general. Mm-hmm. But with Terminal Nation, it helps me get all of my anger out because it's a very violent sound, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I could give two shits if I like look stupid on stage moving and shit. But if you fucking hear my tone, hear our music, you'll know exactly what the fuck
it's
I'm
pissed
talking.
off.
Like fuck cancer and fuck Trump. That's pretty much all I'm saying.
Right. That's like y'all's. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get it.
It literally is a coping mechanism that not a lot of people understand. A lot of people listen to this style of music, or listen to like My Hands to War, Lame Johnny. Metal in general will get like a bad rep. Hardcore in general will get a bad rep, but they don't fucking understand it's a therapy. Some people take it to just be fucking cool, but it depends on the fucking person. If you're in it for the right reasons, it's your fucking therapy and you love the music.
That's fucking dope, dude. That's awesome.
A great way it's passion.
Yeah.
You have a passion, and it's maybe not to the outside world, but especially playing in heavy bands most of my life, it's definitely something in general that, like, when you're in that music, you know who the real guys are and who aren't.
Yeah.
You know the bands that are doing it for the just the sake of doing it, which that's fine too.
Yeah.
You like to play music, and metal is easy to get into, and because it's accessible at a local level. Metal's still to this day the most popular music on earth. It is. You can just look at the numbers. They always have more numbers. The thing is, they're just not mainstream.
Yeah.
So, and there's more of it to go around. There are more metal bands than any other genre in the whole fucking. When was the last time you saw a local boy band? Okay, point fucking taken, right?
All right, I know what I'm doing.
Well, and it's not that there aren't any.
Yeah.
Because there are, but you go to any venue in any city on any given night, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be rock and roll, country, or metal.
Yep.
Straight up. Couple of hip hop acts always. They're always going to be peppered in there.
Yeah.
But more so than not, it's going to be 5 fucking dudes on a stage with guitars, and 2 of those versions are going to have yelling vocals.
Yeah.
You know? And dude, you articulated that very well. You crushed it.
I don't know. I was thinking about like since we're doing this podcast, I was thinking about last night while I was in bed. I was just like, why the fuck am I playing music? And then like I just kind of just realized, and then I got kind of pissed off too, because a lot of the times now, especially if you go on Twitter, it's like kind of like a cool guy syndrome. If you're a part of this band or if you're a part of this genre, people try to make it like a mainstream kind of brand thing. I'm just like, dude, if you're in it just to like try to make it mainstream or like brand yourself or just trying to like have sex with a girl or hook up with a dude, go fuck yourself. We don't need you, you know.
Right.
Just be in it because you love the music, or don't be in it at all.
Well, I think that stuff works itself out.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I've never really been too much as a movement band. Like that's not exactly true. Lame Johnny isn't. People are like, oh, you guys are religious or whatever, and I'm like, no, we're humanitarian. We believe in humanity.
Yeah.
We believe in. There's certain truths that we're trying to convey. It's more of a common sense.
Yeah,
That's like my favorite thing in the world. Even my favorite book ever was Common Sense by Thomas Paine.
Well, it's like Lame Johnny's like content is more relatable to person, whereas My Hands to War is more kind of relatable. Like I would say more person to person, but it's very individualized because it's very
individualized because every song's something different. Too.
Especially when Todd writes the lyrics, because he and I share that portion. But like when Todd writes lyrics, it's like even from the beginning when he was like still developing his vocal style and still developing his lyrical writing ability and all that stuff, it was always very pointed and focused at one specific instance, and then you write a concept around that. Whereas now it's like if he and I share ideas, we both come from the same place, because Todd's religious. Todd goes to church. Todd's a Christian. I don't believe in God anymore. But he and I still like, and he writes spiritual / religious lyrics, but like to me, as long as the message gets conveyed across that it's not in a negative light, like then yeah, why not? Like I said, I'm not a Christian. If people want to pray for me, that's cool.
I'll pray for you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But I think that's cool, man. That band specifically, I don't know if you guys are the same way, but we're one of those bands. We're cross-platform when it comes to just being a good person, man.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. You know, religions aside, politics aside, like I don't give a fuck about. I personally am like the grayest person ever. Like I'm middle of the road with everything. I always think there's 2 sides to every part, and I'm willing to hear it all out. Like I really am. I don't take anything too seriously, minus my music and like my life, my wife and stuff like that. The things you need to take serious. I pay my bills, whatever.
Yeah. Take a shit.
I love shitting. But I think guitar playing was my first love, man, and like I really think you nailed it. Whereas like, and I might have done it inadvertently because I'm pretty happy-go-lucky dude. Mm-hmm. Like even when bad shit happens and I lose people, it affects me, but not like. It doesn't crush me down or anything. I'm pretty resilient, but I still maybe inadvertently put it all into that. Yeah. And like, if it wasn't for music, God knows what I'd be doing, man. I mean, really, I don't know what the fuck I would do. Yeah. I really don't. And like dealing with stuff, like man, when my great grandmother passed away, I knew her for 15 years of my life, which is a long time. You know, she was somebody I actually knew, and the day she was being buried, I was playing a show. I was like, I can either go here and be sad for a fucking vessel, a shell. There's nobody left in that thing. Or I can go be happy, which is definitely the one motherfucking thing she would want me to do. Yeah. And I just chose happy, dude. My parents weren't upset. Like, none of the family was upset. I just didn't go. Yeah. And I was at Vino's playing a fucking show, man. And it was cool. It was good. You know, no worries, no qualms. So like maybe that is what it is. You know, it's more than therapy at the same time. It's just like, fuck, it's my whole life, man. Yeah. I put everything into it.
I mean, like, music has really gotten me, like, I won't say it really helped me get to where I am today, but it's for sure guided me. It definitely got me out of Star City, I will say. Yeah. So I went from Star City, then I met Chase and Chase, joined something to stand for. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah.
And I used to go up to Benton like every weekend and just chill and write music and stuff. And then Kurt hit me up and was like, "Hey, I don't really think you're going to college anymore, are you?" I was like, "Oh no, damn, drop out, whatever." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I got a job at Target off Alcoa. You wanna move up here with me? I'm leaving next week." And I was just like, "Okay, sure." So I moved up here, and then living with him, I met people, and then I met my wife, and I'm here today.
All because of music.
Yep.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
Not moving. I've lived in this same house for 20 fucking years, 24 years. But I met my wife through music.
Yeah.
Met at a show. Met at Soundstage.
I met at MF Metal.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
I kind of just like was like, oh, kind of like slid to the side, and then she was like, "You don't remember that?" I was like, "No, what are you talking about?" She's like, "You just ignored me." I was like, "Oh," because she was talking to some dude, and I interjected because the dude was like kind of pushing on her,
Right.
and so he left, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm single, this, that, this, and other." And I was like, "Okay, cool," and just left.
Damn.
Then I saw her on Facebook liking one of my friends' posts, and I was like, "Hey, I think I remember that girl. Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, almost the same thing. My wife actually came up to me
Yeah.
because I was loading up. My part of the show was over. It was My Hands to War, my old band Annabelle,
And Strike
the Choir. And she came up to me and was like, blah, blah, and I was like, God, dude, this chick is 16. I gave her my MySpace. I didn't give her my phone number. So, yeah, dude, music is literally responsible, man. I mean, like, I think of all the times, like, sometimes I think about what if I had just gone like all my other friends and I could have, like, the job, the house, the car. But I think about that stuff and I'm like, yeah, but I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have
your friends,
my friends. I wouldn't have the things I'm doing, and I'm pretty fucking happy dude, man. Like, I wouldn't have any of this stuff, and like my life would be different, and I'd probably be okay with it still, but I wouldn't change a fucking thing, man.
I mean,
and
you
like,
wouldn't be doing this.
And the second I saw my guitar playing started in the 9th grade, I went to a talent show, and a buddy of mine played guitar. And it was Leonard Skinner's Freebird. Okay,
Hell yeah.
Tight. And, well, he played the solo behind his back.
Oh shit.
Right? He was a bad motherfucker. Still is. One of the baddest motherfuckers on a guitar you ever see in your life. And even then, was just unreal.
Is it Seth?
No. I didn't know Seth yet. This guy named Rocco. But
even better.
Badass name, dude.
Yeah.
What's up? This is my buddy Brad. This is my other friend Rocco.
Yeah. Check out his modern life. That was a terrible joke. I'm stupid. But anyway, so I watched him do that, and like, dude, literally, that was it. That was the spark.
Yeah.
Everything starts as like this little. Oh man, that looks amazing. I might be able to do that. And so I got into this band with some friends of mine, and I started out singing. That was my first ever job in a band. It lasted 2 weeks.
Tight.
Oh yeah, it was fucking terrible. It was the worst sounding shit of all time, and I'm glad it's gone. And I still remember the lyrics, the chorus line, the hard hitting part. It was like a slammy part, and you would say, "I scream." Well, the day I quit, his little brothers were there, and they were like, "Hey, play the ice cream song."
Oh God.
Yeah. And I was
Wait,
like,
so this is pre-Zero?
oh, yeah.
What was the name of that band?
I couldn't tell you.
Do you have anything recorded?
Thank God, yes, but it's been lost to the annals of history and time. But no, it was fucking awful. It was a 2-week thing. We had used some tape recorders. Yeah, tape recorders.
Yeah.
So this was back in the fucking day. But dude, it started from there. And then the same guy that was playing guitar in that band, I got a guitar. He kind of like showed me some stuff, and then me and him started Zero together, and it's just been ever since. And really, it was all guitar, man. If it wasn't for watching my buddy play, and then trying it out on my own, and like I'm self-taught, so like I used to just sit in rooms for hours, dude, till my fingers would bleed.
Yep.
And just play and play and play, and then when Dad'd be like, "It's dinner time," I'd be like, "Okay," and I would eat dinner cold because I'm working on this thing, and I gotta get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I took to easier playing stuff early on because, dude, I learned maybe like a couple of people's stuff. Like always back then, you were playing a Nirvana song, or you were playing Stairway to Heaven,
Or Metallica.
Or
Enter
Metallica,
Sandman.
Enter Sandman. Those were like the 3 giant fucking songs that every guitar player had to know. And I kind of broke away from that almost immediately. And instead of, because I joined a band 2 years into guitar playing, which is not a smart idea unless you're Earl fucking Strassner. I started writing. What would be the word, like in my infancy? I started writing in the infancy of my guitar playing, and that's the way it's been ever since. Like, dude, I to this day I can't fucking play a cover song, but I can write a song. You ask me to write a song, I'll fucking write it right now in real time, words and all. But I could not play you. I could play you the opening bar to Enter Sandman. That's about it. But okay, I want to get to wrap this fucking thing up. We've been talking forever. Yeah. But one more good guitar thing I think is we went over tone, which I think is the most important. And honestly, if you're out there listening, mid-range, if you can afford at least the mid-range gear, just do your best. Spend good money on, I think a cabinet is probably more important, and maybe a lesser head. Maybe that's just my tone feel.
Yeah.
But if you can split the difference, really, get like a mid-range head and a mid-range cabinet, if you can afford it, that's the way to go. But also, I was wondering, I know you guys play like incredibly heavy music, and we do too, but ours is different. Ours is spastic.
Yeah.
Where y'all's is more direct, ours is more just all over the place. Do you guys use pedals at all? Like guitar pedals?
Like rather than like the traditional, what would give us the tone? Or...
Right, like not more than just a distortion pedal. Do you guys ever venture into the world of like delays or expression pedal, volume
like
pedals,
reverb, stuff like that?
So I do the traditional Polytuner, HM2 distortion. Then I got the Ibanez Tube Screamer. I have the Dunlap wah pedal, which I kind of don't know why I bought that anymore because I don't use it. And then I got my Decimator, whereas Dalton, dude.
And the Decimator is the noise reduction?
Yeah. Okay. Dalton, dude, I don't know what he uses, but he has just like a massive fucking pedal board. He brought that to practice one day. I was like, where did all that shit come from? He's like, oh, I just got it the other day. I was like, we just practiced last week and you had like 4 pedals. So he has like reverbs but I don't think he necessarily uses it that much unless it's just to kind of end the song, right, just to give it a little noise. But he has a ton of pedals. I don't know what he uses, but
y'all do use them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think that's cool too, because I used to be the guy. Tell me if you're maybe that guy. I used to literally have this philosophy of, if the amp can't do it, I don't want it. Yeah. And so now I'm actually on the other end, where now I'm actually trying to find a tremolo pedal. So any of my friends out there, if you have any recommendations, I could definitely use one, because I don't want like the best fucking tremolo pedal, because that's like saying you want the best delay. Well, guess what? That's all opinion based and probably going to cost you $800.
Yeah,
I don't need to spend $800 on a pedal, but I don't want something completely just cheese dicking around, you know.
Cheese dicking. Saving that.
That's a good word, bruh. I love delays now. Like I kind of got off of it, man. Once I didn't play guitar for a while, I went through this period where I drummed for like 7 years, solid. I didn't want to touch guitar because it kind of ended, like my first band ended badly, you know. Kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, I'll just go be a drummer because you get more bands being a drummer.
Yeah.
So I go do that for a while, and I come back to guitar. Well, now I'm opened up, you know, because the guys that played guitar in the bands I was drumming in, they use fucking pedals a lot. One of them was Chris Doan. Yeah. That dude's like...
He's crazy, dude.
Yeah, dude. He's so fucking good.
Dude is so sick.
Yeah, he's so good. And he uses pedals unreal.
Yeah.
He's always... You know, he does Instagram too, and like Facebook videos of him playing like you do.
I was gonna say, I saw a picture of his pedal board one time. I was like, I literally don't even know where it starts or ends.
It looks like
it's a cropped out photo. There's actually 40 more pedals on the side.
He's got 19 of those, then they link together.
Yeah, he's got 19 courses just back to back to back to back.
But I like to experiment now, man. I think that whole you can only do one thing is almost hindering. You know,
I think your amp should give you most of your tone, and you shouldn't really have to push it as much. But if you're going for a specific tone or genre or whatever, then sure, add like pedals, do your delays, your phasers, your reverb and all that, you know.
Fuck
or
yeah.
your courses.
I've always wanted to have some sort of intro that is super cranked gaining distortion with a phaser and a flanger at the same time.
Yeah.
And just make this insane sounding riff, just like dissonance all over the place, constantly moving, and then like you have a drum just doing like a simple loop, but the music behind it is just flanged, phased, and distorted as fuck. And when I had that Line 6 pedal board, I know you hated that thing like a son of a bitch. I had that setting. I never showed any of you guys. It was on like the highest bank up that you could go, and it was the only selection I had. And I remember one time,
praise the actual Lord.
I remember one time I had just recorded this drum loop on my phone when I still lived at home, and I had the drum set up there. So I would just play this loop over and over through the PA, and I would just write this riff, and I'm like, this is the coolest shit in the world. And then literally the next day I had recorded it, and I listened to it like with the guitar, and I was like, this is the worst thing ever. I will never do flanger, phaser, and distortion.
It's like every 90s cliche all in one fucking song. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's like, well, who are you?
So,
you're not a
Justin and Tone, no fucking
Yeah, it's like you're not a surf trying to be the Dillinger Escape Plan. Which that would be a sweet band. If anyone wants to start that, I'm so down.
Not Escapes.
Not you know, popular.
I know.
Okay.
I was trying to go the names together. Jesus Christ.
Not a plan.
So we can we've been talking for a minute, dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, Justin's a great guitar player, and we can go around the room and do this real quick before we end it. But a lot of this podcast, we want to try to be like informative.
Yeah.
So is there like any advice you could give that would just be like to someone who's maybe not even just getting started, but maybe someone who's just stuck? Like those plateau moments. We've all experienced them, and we've all been playing long enough to where we know how to get past them all. What's like a good piece of advice to tell somebody?
Really, with me, it's just to like stop and reevaluate, and then just open the box, listen to something different. Like I went all last year without listening to any metal, any hardcore, and I just went straight to like old 90s hip hop and just like other weird shit. I didn't listen to it, and that made me a better musician because I was like, oh, I can put these rhythms that I heard in these songs, change it up, and make a termination song or make some sort of rhythm out of something else. Just like open the box. Just don't be so caught up in one genre. That's really my only advice. Really.
I'll give you a great example. I don't know if you've ever noticed. This might be more prevalent in like my own solo shit. That's like not the stuff I'm working on now, but like the stuff that I'm writing for the future. Your wife is a super huge influence. All the shit that she listens to.
Yeah.
For every 6 or 7 dance pop songs that she listens to in a row, she'll put on some alternative song or like. Pale Waves to me is a really good example because they sound like 80s synth rock, and they're British, and they're half female, half dudes, and it's great. It's like I've never been a dude who grew up on like the Smiths or the Cure. I appreciate what those bands. With every band I don't like, I appreciate their input and their influence, but it's like it's not just something that I would actively seek out. Like I'd say Pale Waves and like the 1975, like those, like the music is like the perfect resurgence of the 80s shit that I liked, the new wave growing up, but it's mixed with like a modern sound. So like, yeah, just honestly what Tommy said, just like stop listening to what you're used to. Like I'm always going to listen to Every Time I Die. I listen to them every single day. Sure. But like, fuck you, Tommy. That's fine. You're wrong, but it's fine.
I know I'm in the wrong room to say that.
Nah, it's all good, dude. Nah. We all got our own shit. Look, Justin doesn't like Led Zeppelin, and they're my all-time favorite band.
Yeah, I just never grew up listening to them.
Yeah, it happens. We all like our own shit, but I think that's actually the number one ingredient to getting out of here.
Just reevaluate and open up a box,
dude. Literally, and listen to shit you don't like for real. Force yourself, like We have a new song that we're working on, which goes back to that topic with Todd. I actually called him up one day. Justin brought me this piece, and it's got this Johnny Cash, thirds gallopy kind of vibe thing.
That's it.
You know, it's got that like brushes, snarey kind of feel, but he's doing it more with like a modern, not a traditional grip, but like a modern grip, like hitting that every third note hard as fuck on that snare drum. And I was like, dude, this is such a Johnny Cash punk rock song. I was like, I'm driving around. I drive for my job, so I'm driving around thinking of things, and I'm listening to podcasts, and it hits me, and I turn the podcast off, and I'm like, oh shit, that's the song. And I call Todd. I text him. I said, hey, call me when you get a free minute. He calls me back almost immediately. He's like, what's up? I was like, dude, you're gonna do a Lame Johnny song. And he was like, okay. And I was like, it's gonna be about all that bullshit. You're going to write it with me and you're going to sing it with me. The only time we'll ever play it is if you're around. And so to kind of piggyback off that story, the whole thing was he was moving to Colorado. Well, the name of that song, I kind of like took inspirations from Johnny Cash and all this stuff. And even the lyrics I'm writing for it are even very Johnny Cash-esque, but with the punk yelling vibe. And it's called The Colorado Kid. And so we're literally like, we take like a westerny vibe, like a country vibe, and turn it into a Lame Johnny song. So like, dude, we're all over. Like, we got one song sounds like Norma Jean. This song sounds like Johnny Cash wrote it, but it's still all Lame Johnny. When you hear them back to back, you're like, that's a Lame Johnny song.
Yeah.
You nailed it, dude. That's the fucking best way to do it, is to get out of your comfort zone. 100%. Anything else? Tommy, do you want to plug your band, like where to go get it when your next album's going to be out?
Don't really know. Don't really have a release date for the next album. We're gonna do it right though. We do have a couple shows coming up. We have Brigade Fest, which I believe is September 9th and 10th. We're playing that Saturday. Yeah, that Saturday.
Are y'all headlining the second day?
No. I forgot who's headlining. But then we're playing Flyover Fest up in Oklahoma, and there's a band called Shame that's from Oklahoma. They're crazy. They just released the album, and it's completely different from their old release. It's like more mathcore, but also heavy. It's nothing I've ever heard before.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like hardcore and mathcore, and just it's fucking crazy.
That's my type of shit.
It's crazy. But I want to say we also have another show booked. I think we are playing a band called Dead Birds CD release.
I think I know who that is.
I think that's CT's band.
Yeah, I've heard of that name.
Oh, shit. No way. Fuck yeah.
Is that going to be at Vino's or Whitewater?
I think it's at Whitewater. I've never been there.
Just look it up.
Yeah,
what's y'all's, do y'all have a Facebook address? Just Terminal Nation?
I want to say it's just Terminal Nation after Facebook. That's Stan.
Yeah.
Stan does all
right.
this.
Do y'all have Twitter, Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
We have Twitter and Facebook. I don't think we have an Instagram.
No
but
Instagram.
I know we have Twitter and Facebook.
Okay.
So.
Do y'all have a .com? Or a Bandcamp?
We have a Bandcamp, and we have a Big Cartel.
Big Cartel, yeah. For merch and stuff?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Is that all Terminal Nation?
Yep.
Fuck yeah, dude. And Tommy, you can find you on Instagram, Facebook,
Twitter.
T-Rob01.
I made that when I was like 16.
Hey,
we
man.
all did, bro.
Hey, dude, I keep telling him my email address that I still constantly use, I made 18 years ago. Hasn't changed.
Find me on Xanga.
Fuck yeah. Foursquare.
MySpace.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Like, who the fuck? All right, man. So guitar episode number 1 in the fucking bag, dude.
That's
Tommy,
tight.
thank you so much, man.
yeah.
You fucking killed it. Lots of great advice. And everyone listening, go look up Tommy's stuff and his future projects. You said you got something else, so stay tuned for that. This has been a fucking great episode,
Yeah,
man.
it was awesome.
Super stoked.
We got kind of off the rails, but we also
No, I like it, dude.
But we stayed concise within our own topic.
But it was always about music and guitar. So
Yes.
we did our job this time around. We didn't further off too fucking much. If you guys love politically charged, just in your fucking face, just unreal. If you just want an experience, honestly, fuck the all the stuff aside. If you just want a crazy ass show to go to, you go
watch
see fucking Terminal Nation. They're unbelievable live. They really are. You can just look at the photos and go, "What the fuck is happening right here?" Like, oh my god.
Take a look at a picture of Stan's face when he's in
That's
the middle
it.
of doing vocals,
Yeah.
and tell me you're not like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So this has been Crashcast. We are on all things Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Crashcast Pod, and on Twitter we're Crashcast Pod with the number 1. Don't spell it out ONE because people make that mistake already. We're on. If you found the podcast, great, but we're also on SoundCloud. We're on Spotify now, yes, that's my favorite one. I think a lot of people do Spotify now. We're on Apple Music, we're on Google Play, everywhere podcasts can be found. We're looking into Stitcher, so those of you who brought it up, I've had like 4 people tell me Stitcher, but I think it's pay for, so maybe if this thing can kind of like get some income, we'll get on Stitcher too. Okay. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks, Tommy, for dropping by, and everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Fuck yeah.